Well, boy, do I have a wonderful surprise for you today. Basically, just by popular demand and a resounding chorus of voices who asked if they could see the inside to my friend John Turman's home because you so loved his outside. Well, that's my treat for you today. We're gonna go inside. Actually, Stuart and I got here a little bit early because I wanted to revisit this unbelievable outdoor living room that has all of John's signature touches. And we're going to hold him to what he said earlier in the video, which we'll put a link above. If you didn't get to see the garden tour, then by all means, you're going to want to watch it. And we talked a lot about how the outdoor space should be an extension of the indoor space. And so we're going to hold him to that, and we're going to go inside, and we're going to really kind of deconstruct his methodology of how the inside informs the outside and the reverse, how the outside informs the inside. But I wanted to go back over and show you some close-ups of some of the things you commented on most, because these are just brilliant in their execution and in their originality, and basically just the real aesthetic punch that it gives to this space. So I wanted to show this to you again. This was fence post remnants with some kind of disc. It was some kind of, was this a hubcap disc that my friend Roger made, these sunflowers. There's one here and there's one over there. And so many of you commented on that, and I just thought, what a wonderful way to reuse, recycle, repurpose. So I wanted to show that again. And then probably the other most commented thing on was how he uses some of his blue and white broken pottery as kind of a decorative mulch, both in the garden beds and in his pots. And then that rhythm and repetition and ribbon of blue that permeates the entire space. And he very kindly in the comments went back and answered what this color of blue was. So many of you wanted to know what the blue, exterior blue was on the doors. He will tell us about that. It was a Sherman-Williams color, and he's really going to fill in a lot of the gaps and answer a lot of the questions that you had. But Stuart, if you don't mind just doing a beautiful pan of this incredible space with all of its detailing. And John, as I said in the garden tour, he is an interior designer. He is a self-professed and self-confessed maximalist who really indulges his love of layering. And you can see that in a lot of the architectural pieces that he uses, in his plant selections, in his very appropriately labeled, the other thing you guys commented on, his bottle bouquets that Stuart gave the moniker to, which I just love. There's one in the distance there. There is a miniature one here. It's got very much of a Santa Fe vibe, a city that's near and dear to both of our hearts. And then we're just going to give you a little tiny bit of a tease and a glimpse into his living room. Before we go back around to the front door, I don't know if he knows that we're already here and we snuck onto his back veranda. But now, Stuart, let's walk around to the front. And since you're a guest, as am I, we will just go in the guest entrance, which is the front door of this 1928 house within spitting distance of the Oklahoma City State Capitol. So let's come this way. So here is the brilliant entrance into the front door of this old Spanish adobe, Spanish colonial home. We talked about this section that he added on, this bricked in area that's got, again, his signature blue in both plant material and in all of the glossy pottery, the glazed pottery. And then by the front door, of course, There is another bottle bouquet, but in this bottle bouquet, Stuart, look, he's got not only blue bottles, and how fun must it have been to party and drink the contents of these bottles to create this bottle bouquet, but he's also got some beautiful glass orbs in here. And I even kind of like the way that they're dusty and weathered, and probably how sometimes they look very aged with a veneer of dust, but then after a rain, how crystalline and clear they probably look. So this is how you're greeted. Wonderful light fixtures, just appointments everywhere you look. It's a little bit overwhelming, and I can already tell that I am so in love with John's home. I know I'm going to be a little overwhelmed myself when we go in. So we're going to try to break this up into some manageable components. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to divide this house tour into two sections. The original old house, and we'll put that in one video. And in the second video, you're going to want to make sure to watch it. We're going to put the extension and the add-ons and how he managed to make the two segue seamlessly and beautifully. So let's see if he is ready for us. I love the fact that it's got an old doorbell and it works. Hey,
hello.
John.
How are you?
Good
Come
to see you.
in.
Thank you,
Good
sweetie.
to see you.
It is so nice of
Hi,
you
Stuart.
to indulge us. Okay, so first of all, can I just say I am always so happily surprised when one of these old doorbells work. How charming is that?
Isn't that great? And it did have to be repaired, so I'll say that, but it is the original doorbell. So
I love it. I love the sound of it. I
do
love
too.
the feel of it. It's a very kind of sensual experiential thing that I just absolutely.
A little different than a ring.
Yes, than a new home in the
Right,
suburbs.
so.
Look, I told our viewers, if it's okay with you, what I'd like to do is maybe do this in two parts.
Okay.
It's such a visual extravaganza that I know everybody's going to want to really absorb and deconstruct all of your appointments and your vignettes. There's just so much to see everywhere. So we might divide it up.
Okay, that works for me.
So maybe we thought the old original part of the house and then the add-on.
Okay. And I don't know if you reminded your viewers, but this is in the historical Lincoln Terrace neighborhood, which is a protected neighborhood right by the state capitol. And the house was built in 1928 by a prominent Oklahoma City builder. I think I'm the sixth owner of it.
Really?
So it was a nice house, I think, at one point, and then I think it was a rental. Not so cool.
Yeah.
And then the person before me started working on it again, and then I
Started showing
spent
us.
22 years working on it myself.
So you both showed it
Yes.
a lot of love. And by the way, you were like a block from the governor's mansion.
Yes. The Capitol's a block one way, and the governor's mansion is not even a block the other way. So.
Yeah. So if you want to drive by John's house like you guys drive by my house, now I've given you a little clue to where it is. You'll probably recognize it. This door is incredible.
Yeah, there's some great details, and it appears to me that when they built the house, that they probably bought a package of things, and I think the front door, the stair banister, and there are 3 light fixtures in the house that all have a similar motif on them. And you used to could do that. I mean, those were the days of Sears homes and that sort of thing. And so you could buy things to use in a home that you were building to give it the character and the history that you were looking for.
But the quality of it.
Yeah,
I mean, this door is so heavy.
Absolutely.
I mean,
So-
and what's that ringing?
So it's my bells on the back of the door. So
Well, of course
Yeah.
you have. Of course you have bells, and not just at Christmas time on the back of
no,
your
those
door.
are always there. So and there's a little story about that. So I have cousins who are now in their 90s that live in Nashville. And a couple of years ago, they had to downsize, and so I helped them do that. But they had those bells on their front door. So all my life going there, I'd heard those bells ring when we went in. And so it was just a cool thing to bring them to my house. That was one way to do it. So,
I have some antique sleigh bells that belong
yeah.
to my mom that she always had hanging by the fireplace, and but I bring mine out at Christmas. You guys,
mine are, well, they're on a blue cord, of course, so they can stay out all the time.
Duh.
And I didn't do that. He did it. So,
He did it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this room. Look at the first of all, you have a pretty fabulous canvas to work with.
Yes. Well, when I walked in the first time and saw the ceiling, with these beams and the boards. It was like, okay, this could work. I mean, I'd been looking for a house for quite some time, couldn't find one, and the door was the first clue.
Yeah.
Came around the corner and looked up in here, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Swoon.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just like, okay, this will work. I don't care what the rest looks like, this will work.
Arched doorways. Tell me about the walls. Look very Adobe, very
Spanish. And
Spanish.
it's just a traditional plaster on lath, but then they've been treated to look like hand Adobe, hand done Adobe.
Yeah.
Which I almost positive is original to the house because it's everywhere in the old part of the house.
Well, it's just fabulous. So there's just so much to look at here. Someday I'm going to come in with a bottle of wine and I'm just going to drink the whole bottle myself and do nothing, but take the time to really wander, look, and demystify the brilliance of your layering. Now, I said earlier on your porch that you are a self-professed maximalist.
Yes, I am.
And have you always been that way? Has it evolved over time?
Well, this is also a story. I have lots of stories, so you may get tired of them. But I'm going to give away my age. So I was born in 1960, and my parents built a Better Homes and Gardens idea home from 1960. So it was this ranch, contemporary, the very end of mid-century. They completely furnished it in mid-century modern furniture. Everything was spare and minimal and all that. And I resisted that as a child even. I appreciated what my grandparents had. I loved all their stuff, and that's when I started with the blue and white, even when I was probably 10 or something, and started thinking about that. But anyway, I just went completely opposite. Of course, now I completely appreciate that I grew up in that fabulous house.
Yes.
And I have a couple of pieces that, that were in it. But for the most part, I'm a traditionalist and a maximalist, as you say.
Right.
So,
But I think it's important that you had maybe the little embryonic hints when you were young that this might be your profession later on.
Absolutely.
And you came by it very naturally. And did they have a starburst clock?
We did not have a starburst clock. We had some weird clock though. There was a clock, but it wasn't a starburst. But we had an orange sofa that was probably 9 feet long.
Oh, we did too. Yeah.
And then some of the accent colors were green, and green and orange are two of my least favorite colors together.
Avocado green.
It wasn't. It was bottle green. This bright, vibrant
Really?
kind of bottle. It was a pretty color.
Now that's kind of come back
with
around.
Orange, and it just and I absolutely see it. But
The
it's,
70s version.
It's not blue and white. So
anyhow,
Right.
Obviously this is an explosion of beautiful blue and white. You've got this popular look, which I have to say I have in my home too, the white slip covers. Is this just a canvas?
It is. In fact, it was just very inexpensive canvas that I purchased, and we had slip covers made for them.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned when you have a lot of stuff, sometimes you have to have some simple things. Mm-hmm. So having a very neutral upholstery with all this stuff around it, gives you a silent space, or a quiet space, I call it. You'll also see a couple of places in one of them, which is actually a continuation from outside. Stuart, when you turn around and look at the chimney on the fireplace, you'll see that I didn't put anything on it because I wanted a place to rest your eye.
Right.
And it's the same way outside as well. So you get this, I know somebody commented they thought there should be something on the outside of the house. And I'm like, no, that's my quiet space on the outside. And I did the same thing in here. And also, and Stuart, I'm doing this to you again, on the other side of you, I chose this, it's not old, it's made to look old, but just again, something kind of neutral and big instead of having some huge painting over the sofa. Because there is, as you see on both ends of the room, a lot of confusion and
So there's a lot, a beautiful
pattern.
tension. Again, a great canvas. They help contribute to the backdrop and the canvas of it, and also a little bit the tension, the brilliant tension between large things, large uncluttered things, and then the heavily detailed,
lots of layering.
yes, very heavily layered, detailed compositions, largely of blue and white.
Lots of blue and white.
That you have. Are these bookshelves original to the house?
They were not. That was one of the first things I did actually when I moved here was started with those bookshelves, and you'll see lots more have happened since then, but this was the first place to do it. And one of the things, and we may talk about this some more later, but when you have a lot of stuff, having bookshelves to contain it and to manage it is a really good way to show it all off. And you still get some, you've got some lines around all the stuff, and it just kind of holds it. And so you can just keep layering and creating these little vignettes of things. So
I think it's similar to me for my potager. It's kind of like organized chaos.
it is, absolutely.
The stuff within the confines of the infrastructure, for me, my boxwood or whatever, for you, for your bookshelves, it kind of contains a lot of what could be visually discordant.
Absolutely.
But you have it contained, and so it makes sense. And the other thing is we're drawn to pattern, and so as humans we are, and you've got a wonderful pattern of this blue and white and textures, and the way that you have, but even the way you've like composed your stack of books and things looks very intentional to me.
It is very intentional, yes. I definitely have gone through and done each shelf, and over time, I mean, you kind of just drop things in place, and then you stand back and look, does this work or not?
Right.
Sometimes it does not. Sometimes it does, but
but isn't that the fun of it?
Oh, that's what makes it great fun. Yeah, absolutely.
And makes it a dynamic thing and not a static thing, so
yes,
that your home, even to your own eye, always looks fresh. The other thing I've noticed is that you didn't skimp in building the bookshelves to make sure that they really look very much indigenous to the house, even though they weren't, because they look formidable. They don't look like they were from IKEA or something.
Right.
They have the same heft, the same visual weight as the original part of the house, with these fabulous windows. I love the way also that you repeated the look in the slip covers in your window treatments.
Yeah, I wanted something very simple. Again, you just have to have some simplicity when you do all this stuff. If you tried to do a window treatment that covered the window or had a pattern or something like that, you would just create so much confusion that it would just it kind of becomes muddy, is kind of the way I look at it. You need something to clarify it.
I think, to cleanse your palette.
Yes.
I think, your visual palette, and this does this brilliantly. But I mean, for those of you guys that are blue and white lovers, oh my gosh, you are going to want to stop this video on practically every frame to look at things. Tell me the story. It looks very Japanese.
Of the picture? Again, a thrift store find, truly.
You're kidding.
And I really think it came out of an Asian restaurant. When I got it, it was completely covered in grime. It took me a long time to get all the grease and all the stuff off of it. But of course, I love the color and just the scene in it. And I think it works so well with the other Asian-inspired things I have. So.
And very simple lines.
But it was truly, in fact, and you can't see it from here probably, but the frame is really pretty cool too. Can you see it? Good. And I'm going to say it was $10, so,
Yeah.
Who knew?
Stuart's impressed. Yeah, as am I. The value of thrifting, you just can't get those one-of-a-kind, unbelievable things any place else.
And this week, thanks to you, I went to one of our local antique stores that you did a video of recently. And I hadn't been along to Antique
Avenue. Isn't it just wonderful?
Well,
did you meet Erin?
Well, I did. She was not there when I was there, but I remember her old store and I loved it. And when I found out she was at this place, I was like, oh, I have to go again. So I was looking around, and I'm kind of relating this back to the thrift store find up here, but I found a new piece of art that just spoke to me again because it was blue. And it was just this sweet little thing. Who knows when it was done. I'm sure it's some amateur watercolorist.
It doesn't matter, though, does it?
Doesn't matter. But it just spoke to me when I was in there. And of course, and again, it was like, I think it was $40. Things have gone up.
But you had just the right spot for it.
Well, I did a little work on this wall. I had been collecting things that had not been hung. So this is something that happened recently. I took about half of it down and added 4 pieces. So
we're going to do, you guys, a little wrap up because, again, there's so many of these things you can try at home, but please pay attention to John. We're going to do a wrap up where you give us some of your best professional design tips, because I think gallery walls are so popular right now, but I think there are some ways to do them well and maybe less.
Absolutely, no.
Less than well. Should we put it that way? True. So we want to talk a little bit about that.
You'll see 2 other gallery walls in our house. So,
versus this very clean look, which I tend to do more, which is the geometric linearity of hanging like pieces together in a way that can frame the void of your beautiful chimney. So that's really just incredible. I see, don't you think that it gives a window into a person when you look through the contents of their bookshelves? And
in fact, that book you just went to has a great title, May I Come In? And of course, being in this business that we both are, it's the thing we want to do the most is go in somebody's house. So this is a woman who, in New York, Wendy Goodman, who went to all these houses she'd been to and put this wonderful book together talking about it. So
It's I was telling you, John is not familiar with Quintessence. If you've got to watch some of those videos where they do that, they go into some of the major tastemakers of our time and they look at their interiors, and it's so fun to be.
It is.
It's so fun to be a voyeur. Here is another takeaway, you guys. Look at the way you've got. Now, granted, we don't do CDs very much
Again,
anymore.
showing my age.
But nevertheless, any variety of things that you have that you're wanting to contain and store could all be categorized in that way. They look like they were custom made for this space. But I have found just by Googling baskets that fit this space, you can typically come up with something that looks custom.
And that happened before we could Google. So I found one at Target that fit, and so then I ended up going to 5 Targets to find enough, because of course they only had 2 at each Target. So it was a bit of a trek. I couldn't just have them sent on my Amazon Prime, but it did work out well. So.
Well, another key that you're going to discuss with us a little bit later, you have a very eclectic vibe. So in these bookshelves, you've got old things, you've got new things, you've got Asian things, you've got Spanish colonial things. You have a whole ensemble of different kinds of historical comportments that come into play. You're going to talk about some tips to how you make it look homogeneous and consonant together with so many disparate kinds of things. Well, I could spend a month in this room, and I may come and do that sometime if your couch is comfortable.
Oh, they are.
And we could spend so much time in here. But another thing I want to impress upon you is I know that as I get older, I am trying to declutter a little bit because I'm a layering person too. But lots of layers come with you know, we have to take care of more stuff. And that comes with time and responsibility.
It does.
So I could easily see you could come in here, and by the way, here's a tease. John is going to come to my house.
I can't wait.
And we're going to kind of go over some things, how he can help me kind of zhuzh up my house. We have a lot in common. But also I could easily see someone who was more of a minimalist or heading in that direction, how they could come in here and they could edit out 50% of what you have, and it would still very much have the same warmth, the same eclectic, vibrant feel of things that have been collected over time.
That's true. And one of the fears in the work I do with my clients is that I want them to see my house, of course, because I love it, but it is a little intimidating. And so I don't want them to think that this is what it takes to create a warm look or even a minimalist look, which I can do too, but this is the way I choose to live and I love it. I like too many things, but it is a little scary for people. So I like to get going with them before they ever see what comes out of me, and it makes a difference, I think.
Well, and I think there are so many analogies to gardening because I think what I like to try to impress on people, they will say, oh, if you came to my house, you would be appalled at my garden or whatever. There are so many different languages and forms of beauty, and there's no typically one right way. There is just the way that is right for you.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what makes it, that's what resonates with people is if...
Well, and sometimes they don't quite know how to
express
execute
that.
it or express it, and so they need our help, to nudge them along. But absolutely, I always want to try to do what I think is right for the client. It's not something I don't want to impose myself on. In fact, I did that one time, long time ago. Someone loved my house, and she goes, "I want this," and I said, "Okay, well, we can do it." And it was a small space, so we could do it. It was a disaster. I will have to tell you. You just can't push that on somebody.
Well,
and she thought she wanted it. She really didn't. So
So it's about asking yourself tough questions. I have a book coming out.
Yes.
In March. And a lot of what I talk about is how you deconstruct something to get it to look the way that is just right for you.
That's
not for anybody else, but just right for you. Okay, so like I say, I could be here for forever. Stuart's probably going like this. Get on with it. Get on with it.
Before we leave this room, I just want to show you that it does connect to the outdoor room.
Yes, and so this is what. Excuse me for interrupting you, John, but this is what I wanted to see if you held true to your promise.
So what do you think? pink.
Oh my gosh. It is a seamless extension of your home. So many people wanted to know, what color is this?
That is a Sherwin-Williams Regatta. And I answered some questions on the garden video with the paint number. I don't remember that off the top of my head, but I've told you that one and the other two colors outside. So there are the 3 paint colors for outside.
Okay. Regatta, as in a very mariner term.
It is.
Regatta. And you can see that it is just seamless.
It is.
Indoors and out.
So
and oh my gosh, can I just say
Absolutely.
how much I love
don't you
screen
love the
doors,
sound? Right.
these old, you know, because I think gardens should be sensual and experiential, and I think homes should be too.
I agree. I love that sound.
Well, this is just very, very wonderful. Okay, again, tactile, everything is just loved, and I can tell collected over time. So let's go. So this is still original to the house.
Yes.
What is your source on great rugs?
There's a local place here, Tippery's, where I buy some things. The living room rug came from there. The one in my office did. This one, I used to work in retail. This was something that was going to be dumped, and I paid $20 for it. So remember when we used to have the Ralph Lauren shops?
Oh gosh,
yes. Tricked them all out. Well, this was one of the pieces in it. And then the one behind you, which is a favorite, but my really favorite one's in the back. But this belonged to a sort of in-law relative who has been deceased for many, many years, and it was in their house. So, but then Tabriz restored it for me, which was great.
That is wonderful. It's so interesting. One of my husband's original employees, he has an office furnishings designs and outfits office furniture and office complexes, and one of his first designers was one of the original Ralph Lauren store designers.
You know, those fixtures used to be made in Oklahoma.
I know.
Which was so interesting.
This is another thing, like B.C. Clark's that I alluded to earlier. This is very much of a Harold's thing.
No, even though the preppy look started on the East Coast, we did it really well.
We did, because we had the real Western flair, Western interface. Okay, so you've got a wonderful sideboard here with more of your blue and white on it. And then, so this is your office?
It's my office now. The original purpose of this room in the house was the master bedroom. There is a full bathroom and a closet up to these spaces. But I really think, based on the built-ins on this wall, which seem to have been here forever, I think it was probably always used as a sitting room or a TV room or an office or something. I don't know. But when I opened my own business, I made this my office. So it's a great place to work.
Well, it is. It is just lovely. It really is. You and I obviously share an obsession with books. Almost every room of your house and every room of my house, with the exception of the bathrooms, look like they're libraries. And this is something I'm struggling with.
Really?
How do you cull out things that...
I don't. I just keep collecting.
You just keep collecting?
And you'll see, I even have duplicates of things, and I always think, I'll give one of these to somebody that means something to me. But then at the other time, I'll think, but I could take that book apart and frame all those beautiful things that are in it,
Right.
So then I don't do it. So
and the other thing with me that's a danger...
Can I have 3 copies of that one, see?
Well, then you can give one of those.
Right, I could give one of those.
You could give that to me for Christmas.
I can give that to you.
So I was talking about my sons, and they also, now I've got all of their books and things that they don't want me to get rid of. The other thing that this is my takeaway tip. I was just looking, I was just saying, I just looked at this book yesterday. I've got the same one. But here's my takeaway tip.
Okay.
If you are pulling out your books and you're starting to get rid of, like right now, I've got way too many gardening books. And I can gift those to people who are at the beginning of their gardening career. But my one tip is, and I bet you do the same thing, I am constantly tucking little mementos in books of thank you notes, of photographs, of messages people have sent me, little kind of communication clediments that I've put in those books. And then I'm always afraid I'm going to give a book away without salvaging something that is very prized to me in it. So you really have to shake up.
Yes, you do.
Just like you clean out the pockets of anything or underneath the cushions. I really have to be very, very careful that I empty them out.
I agree with you. But on the other hand, when a book does get to an estate sale or the thrift store or whatever, and then someone else purchases it, they get the best treasures. I have found so many cute things in books that I never would have known about. And a lot of times it'll be something that has something to do with that book, about a person in it or whatever. It's so interesting. So know at least if you do give it away, that someone else benefits from it.
Or, and a sense of history. I think that real sense of history. So. Okay, now this is a weird thing, but that I love about you. John even said we could go into his bathrooms because of course your bathrooms are also decorated.
They are.
So Stuart, go in and look at, you have artwork.
So that's my collection of interior renderings.
And some of them look fabulous, like they really date back to...
the big one is from my cousin, and he did that in the 60s. And then the one right under it is actually his living room. And he did this, and I have all of them. He did a program for a group of people in Nashville, and he did, I think there are 10 of these boards that he did these wonderful renderings, and then he had all the samples and all the stuff to go with it. Well, he kept the boards, and so when they moved, they were in the attic, and I couldn't throw them away, so I brought them all home and I framed this one.
Oh, that one is just, man, talk about jettisoning you back to another era and another time.
And the one that Stuart's looking at right now, that living room was done in, I think, probably the late 60s. And Bloomingdale's decorating was the thing, this country French. And so Jay added those fake beams and did that. And then, of course, in the 70s, it got all redone. So.
Oh, yeah. Which is probably why you're eclectic in philosophy, because you love things from so many different,
I like from
so
all the
many
periods.
different eras.
I really do.
And Stuart and I are going to apologize. He's doing a great job, as is the camera. But this is a house, so we're not stage lighting to really do shooting. Is the floor original?
That
to
is
the
original,
house?
and the wall tile's original in there. I think
I've
it has
got very similar tile in my guest bath.
I love that little detail on the little trim piece.
Yes.
The
problem is when some of the toilet paper ends up, when it cracks or breaks, kind of hard to find a replacement for that stuff. So Stuart, did you get a 360? And you've got lots of texture that's incorporated in textiles, framed textiles, blankets, quilts. Loving this vibe. So when we get to my house, and I love, one thing I noticed, one appointment that I need you to help me with, is all of your pillows seem to be more down-filled and flat and squishy, versus overly stuffed with foam, I
have an abhorrence for those.
A la Pottery Barn, and that's how some of mine are, and I need to get rid of the
And there's
actually,
I've been using a faux down material, which this one actually is down, but the ones in the living room are done with this other, and it's a great squishy feel, and I love it, so it's really nice.
Well, and then I think, and especially if it's faux down for those of us with allergies, as am I, which is one of the reasons I don't have a lot of it, because I could. Yeah. Okay, this is just great and so comfortable. I could, I could just come in and hang out here while you're working, John. Look
well, sometimes I hang out there when I'm working. So
I do the same thing in my office. So absolutely. I love it. This is wonderful. Okay, so now let's come back here, and we're going to give you a glimpse over, Stuart, into the dining room, which almost has, and we're going to go in the dining room later, but it has a primitives vibe.
I think that piece of furniture kind of causes that. And I'm one of these people too, when I buy furniture, I have a real hard time getting rid of it. So early in my buying, I bought a couple of more primitive pieces, this piece in the hallway, the sideboard in the dining room. And then the white piece where all the blue and white is, was a piece that my grandmother had built for their country home. And of course it was this ugly brown. And when I moved here, I brought it here and we just painted it to match the wall. So, and then the paint swelled the doors. So I just decided I would use that leather and tie them closed.
Okay,
and has this great closure.
Another great takeaway, as is, and I did this in my dining room, which is a Ralph Lauren glazed red, and I painted an armoire the same color, the same red, to match the walls. So that's a great takeaway tip, you guys, especially if you've got a piece of furniture that's maybe not special, or maybe is special, and you want to figure out a way to incorporate it into your house, then you just make that canvas simpler by painting it the same way, and
so I did that, and then bought new knobs, and then as I said, created the way to close it. So
and bought a few more pieces of blue and white.
Tons of blue and white. That's
You
again, a good
well,
way to
we
contain
need
something.
an intervention. We
Yes, we
need
do.
an intervention. Okay, can we go upstairs?
Yes, let's go upstairs. So, Stuart, as you
So-
come by, notice some of the details on the banister because I think it's pretty cool.
And this is original to the house, I'm going to
It
guess.
is, absolutely.
And the floors are original. Did you have to restain and refinish your
We
floors?
did do that, yes.
Yeah. And this winding staircase, isn't it wonderful?
It has a great feel with the curve, doesn't it?
The other nice thing is this is older age friendly because the treads are wide and not real steep. So that is just really... Come on up, Stuart, and join us. But before you do, very, very carefully, without breaking anything, turn around. So, all right, you come on up, Stuart. Come on up and
Show what I can show first.
show what you can show first because,
I'll turn.
yeah, because there's really cool stuff behind Stuart, and accolades to Stuart, who does such a good job
Well-
of navigating these contorted spaces that we put him in.
And without knocking anything over.
That's the
Which-
that's the
Well, sometimes we knock things over,
that's the
but
skill.
usually
Not
they're
here.
in my garden. What? So that adds me to a question. Let's go
can
in
go in
here
here.
while we talk. For me, one thing. So much of how you think about the now is what was informed by your past. And I grew up in one of those households where I've got 9 brothers and sisters, and I grew up in a household where if something got broken, you got in really big trouble. And I just have the exact opposite. I think everything in your house should be used. I don't care how valuable it is. I think it shouldn't stay hidden away in a closet. If it breaks, that means it was loved.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't mean that we're careless with our things, but to me, I would be much more concerned over broken feelings than broken objects.
I
The
think you're
people are more
absolutely right.
important than the stuff.
They are.
And that is definitely something that informed how I think about material things growing
Well,
up.
and on that same thread, growing up, one of my grandparents had a beautiful home, and it was very traditional, and they had all kinds of lovely things in it, a lot of which are here. But when I was probably 7 or 8, I would take 2 card tables and put them together in the family room and cover it all with blankets, and then I would select things from the bookshelves and off the tabletops.
So you
It
had
didn't matter
this
how precious
in
it
your
was. She
DNA.
would let me take all this into my house that I had built. And the only stipulation was that I had to put it all back. I mean, I had to clean up after
Yeah.
it was over. But anyway, that's how I learned to appreciate beautiful
Yeah.
things. And I knew how to handle them. And
the art of composition.
Absolutely. And the fact that she let me, she trusted me to do that was pretty amazing. So I do feel like you should let anybody in your home, they have to have some respect for it, but they need to learn how to love things and to appreciate them.
Yeah,
and
so I
be
mean,
part of it. So
do I want red wine on my white slipcovers?
No,
No, but it happens.
happens. It
It
happens,
happens.
right.
I'm not going to lose sleep over
and
it.
it's happened here. So.
But
Not from you, but it has happened here.
it happens.
Yes,
But yeah,
it does
yeah,
happen,
definitely.
so.
We take ownership of those things ourselves. So I love this room. For one thing, it's got great light.
It does have a good light.
It has a really great light. It feels very cozy to me because it's got kind of a low ceiling, which I think sometimes is.
Oh, I love it. In fact, that these kind of cove. It just kind of, I don't know, you just feel like you're in this really safe space. And you're up high, which is great, and then you're looking out into the yard.
Yeah, very, very much so. And all of your stuff has kind of, by osmosis, your blue and white stuff has come upstairs and informs, like if I like to put words on things. So if I were going to come in and put words on your house, probably the first word that I would put is chambray. I mean, definitely denim, chambray, in addition to obviously blue and texture and things like that.
Well, and I think one of the things you pointed out too is that my blue things, they do have some texture to them, most of them, and they're not sweet exactly. They're and I hate to use terms like masculine and feminine, but it is a little more masculine.
Yes.
And I've used plaids, and I've used I don't know, like you said, texture, stripes, and that sort of thing. And then there are a few things that are sweet, like a quilt, or
but that's
floral plates on the wall or something like that. But,
yeah, I agree completely. And I would even say, even though my garden has some roses and flowers and things, even my own garden has a very masculine architectural feel because lots of evergreens, lots of structure, even topiary to me has that that
does,
kind
absolutely.
of quality. And I'm like you. I like romance, but not necessarily sweetness.
Right, I agree.
And I think there's kind of a difference.
And then another cool thing about using lots of blue is if you use a neutral background. So you'll notice that if everything came out of this house, there would be no blue. Except on the doors. That would be the only place.
It very much feels to me like some of the bed and breakfasts in Santa Fe or in Colorado or things where you've got special things and just wonderful layering with these are gorgeous, but this is a layering thing that you can do inexpensively.
Absolutely.
and not just inexpensively at Walmart, but inexpensively at your thrift store. So one of the things I like to do at thrift stores is look at clothing, draperies, anything like that. If there's great fabrics of something that can be done.
Well, and that fabric on that pillow used to be on this big chair. And of course it faded. And when we took the fabric off, I actually reversed it. And there was enough good fabric to make one pillow. So I still have my plaid. So you really should pay attention to what you're throwing away and giving away. And
I do
if
that
there's
with
a reuse.
tablecloths.
Yeah.
I'll use them on the
Opposite
side
side.
so it gives you a double
It does.
a double use and more of a weathered older look. Stuart said about my house, when you come into my house, you can't ever tell what's old or what's new or what's new and what's made to look old or. And I guess that's what I love, because I want everything to kind of look used and loved and.
No, I do too.
And
as you can see.
But like this is the simplicity of this is just brilliant, but goes so well with all of your layered stuff. Just really wonderful. And books everywhere.
And as you said, they're everywhere with the bathrooms. And I have shelves in the bathrooms, but no books.
Well, it just is. And you do like I do. You've got them stacked everywhere. They make great little tables.
Well, they do. That was too low to use the stool for a table, and some big books made it work.
Yeah, for me, they make great little tables for topiary and
they do.
Things, and they kind of frame and elevate, and lots of wicker. You've got lots of wicker.
And that was a love that came from when I was probably in my 20s. I just liked that. And everybody, recently there was this, in the magazines, they're all, wicker's coming back. Well, it never went away in my house, right?
Yeah.
So,
some of you have seen my bedroom, and I will definitely video again. But I have 3 pieces of my mom's wicker in my bedroom.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great, again, for texture, I love it.
Yeah, me too. Okay, this is just like, this is what I call a decorating double down.
Oh, really?
Okay, so
explain that.
Okay, so you double downing in a good way, because what you did was you doubled down on the green of these, which is just, remarkable. It would just be blasphemous to tear this stuff out, this tile. And what I mean by double down is that you carried that same green over to the storage and the shelving and the trim work and everything in the best way.
Well, when I first moved here, of course, I didn't, this is not my favorite color scheme, and I painted the walls the pale yellow, and all the trim was the pale yellow from the tile, and it just didn't work.
Right.
And then finally I was like, okay, I'm going to own it.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it green. And actually, I think this is a beautiful color of green. It just doesn't go with the rest of the house so much.
But look at that.
And that detail is just terrific,
Yeah.
Anyway, it made a great place to put art pottery and some things that don't always blend in other places. And so this is one of the few places you do see green in my house. But
The way you do
and it's kind of a blue-green. So
it is a blue-green. The other thing is you've continued the blue-green thematic, and you've introduced the blue via your artwork and some of the pottery and things like that. Even the rug has hints of blue in it, so it in no way looks like it doesn't fit in here. Right. It very much.
Well, and when the walls were yellow, I covered the walls in here with blue and white china. So that's how this blue and white china thing started. And then, of course, the collection got much too big, so it went to the bedroom. Yeah. And then I came back with the art pottery and the green, and I like it much better this way. So.
Gosh, this
reminds me. But they're great. These are all original fixtures, and they all really work so well. And,
this reminds me of my grandmother's house.
So
great. Down to just even the rust.
Even the rust, right? That's part of it. So, it is.
Just fabulous. So Stuart, before I started to yell at you to turn around, this was what I wanted to show, is the wonderful, you have so many different areas for staging, which is one thing I kind of feel like I don't have in my house. I don't have enough, it's an English tutor, and I just don't have enough places
to do things, right?
Yeah, which may be a good thing. And then you've got just texture. Stuart thinks that's so funny. Don't you, Stuart? Stuart and I have an understanding that we are free to make fun of one another.
Oh, that's what makes life interesting. I like doing that. So.
Yes.
So, and then this would be the second bedroom upstairs, but my husband uses it for his office. And so he is a musician, and so these are mostly musical related things, and artwork and cathedrals, and again, another collection of
and I just, but with a different, oh my word, yes, definitely, he's a musician.
Yes, absolutely.
Look at this, Stuart. This is.
And in here, we did do much simpler bookshelves. We didn't want to.
Oh, Stuart's telling me
invest
to get out of the way.
Make the investment, and we wanted them to be somewhat removable, so that if someone did want this room to be a bedroom again, so we did a simpler thing. Although they are built, they're not. But IKEA would have worked in here.
Yeah.
And been just fine.
So how did you decide who got which office? They both are so charming.
Well,
and in different ways.
Since I work at home.
Since you work at home. So he doesn't work.
He doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Now Stuart's daughter, I've said this before. In fact, we were at a recital for her last night. She is a brilliant musician at OCU.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so she would find this fascinating.
Yeah. Well, Scott is about to retire. He is the musician at St. Paul's Cathedral downtown.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of his office has come home, because we're in that process of moving all that. So by next year, everything will be here. So
this is just.
But you'll notice there's no organ or piano, so we don't have room for those things.
Yeah.
So
well, you really need space. For those
you really do.
Things.
It wouldn't be appropriate. So
yeah. Well, this is just lovely. So I haven't asked you, how many square feet is your house?
Well, the original house was about 1,950 square feet.
Okay.
And then we made about a 700-foot addition to the back, so 2,650 is what.
Okay, look at this wonderful fixture.
So that fixture was in the breakfast room originally in the house, and the fixture from here was missing. And when we did, I think I just brought that up. I brought that up here immediately because I thought it looked better in here. But this detail right here is the same on the stairs and on the dining room chandelier. So that's what makes me think that they came in a package deal.
Right.
So.
Right, in a beautiful package.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would love to have known what the original was in here, because there was a ceiling fan here when I got here. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We're going to have to give our viewers a bathroom break or a snack break or something. So we're going to stop here because we've seen the original components of this house and how you have so brilliantly adorned it. It's just incredible. So we're going to just take a break here, and then you guys are going to want to make sure to go along with us for part 2, because we still haven't seen the redone kitchen, laundry room, master suite, and you're not going to want to miss it. John, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Sure. So here you go. Here is your twofer fashion epilogue for today. So if you've held on this long, then here it is. If not, just go on to the next video. So today, my ensemble are my favorite sunglasses, my aviator Ray-Bans. I've got, this is definitely going to age me, John, but I've got kind of a Peggy Lipton vibe going from Mod Squad days, from forever ago. So I've got kind of a 60s, 70s vibe going on. My shirt is from Charlotte Russe. I have had it for forever and a day. I bet I've had it for 25 years. My little crochet hippie bag actually came from my mother-in-law via me. She used to wear lots of little purses like this. I gifted this to her, and so after she passed, I took it back because it reminds me of her every time I think about it.
Oh, cool. Love that.
My breeches came from Anthropology, and it was one of those deals where I just fell in love with them, but they weren't my size, so I had to have them tailored. Sometimes I spend more on tailoring than I do on the object itself, but I love the work on it, and it's blue and white, so it's probably after your heart too.
Probably so.
And I think my sandals came from Nordstrom Rack, and of course, if you've got an ensemble like this, then you have to have some kind of 60s vibe earrings. And my 60s vibe earrings, I think, came from I don't know where, because I've had these for so long. But I love hoop earrings. Okay, so John, you are always so stylishly dressed, and of course in blue and white. So what's your ensemble?
Well, I think it's just my casual, not exactly work clothes, but the next step up, because usually I'm in shorts. So, but anyway, this, because I am a blue person, this is my new indigo shirt from J. Crew. Just got it. And
I love
knit.
it.
It's made like an Oxford,
So
but it's
would
a
this
knit.
still be available if somebody was looking for them?
I think so.
Okay.
Got it recently though. Anyway, and then bonobos pants with a drawstring, which I'm not going to show you, but anyway, work well. And then my Vans classic tennis shoes, which these are about to wear out. They got a hole in the toe, but you can see I wear them all the time.
And that makes them so much more stylish.
It really does, and I love that they're a little bit dirty. And in fact, I have a new pair, and I can't seem to break them out because they're too white. They're just too white. So, and then I have on a leather bracelet that I got in Santa Fe this summer, which was too long. This is kind of cool. It was too long, so I took it to the shoe shop, and they cut it and spliced it and put this twine on it to cover where they made the seam in it. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Okay, that is a great idea, and I'm glad that you pointed that out, because a lot of times I go to my shoe shop or whatever. I have extremely tiny wrists, and I always have to have additional holes punched or grommets put or something shortened or whatever. And that's a really great idea, is to take something that you've already got and have it tailored.
Yes,
have tailoring your jewelry to you. I forgot to mention my ensemble of bracelets. You and I both love Santa Fe. Some of these things came from Santa Fe. I think this little bracelet did. My leather bracelet, we did not coordinate this. We did not coordinate this. My leather bracelet with a pearl clasp was given to me by my friend Jenny, who's the bead buyer for Hobby Lobby. This bracelet came, okay, those of you who are in Oklahoma, you will so recognize this, came from a friend of mine who gifted it to me from BC Clark's. We could probably both belch out the BC Clark's holiday song, but we will spare our audience. Yes. And this bracelet came from one of my favorite stores in Salida, Colorado, Currents, which may or may not be there anymore, and then just in general, bangles, because I'm a bangle girl. My daisy, my ring is one of my very, very favorite sterling silver rings. I got this at a store on Western Avenue, Mockingbird Manor.
Yes, one of my favorite places.
Don't you just love that? It's a great antique store on Western Avenue. My husband got me this years ago, and I love it. So there is our fashion ensemble du jour for you guys, and thanks for hanging out with us. So I took my own advice. We had a little water break.
Yes, we did. We needed it.
We did need it. We did need it, and a potty break too. Okay, so I love this room. You made the comment earlier that you do lots of high-low.
Yes.
And it's hard for me sometimes to tell the difference between the high and the low, which is a mark of brilliance on your part. So give me a couple of high-low examples in here.
Okay. Well, a couple of the pieces of furniture, like the black chest over here, actually belonged to my parents. And it's a very nice piece of furniture from the late 60s. I have no idea what they paid for it, but it's a good brand, and it was a nice piece, which I kept when my parents dismantled their homes. And then this piece behind you, the sideboard.
I'm going to stop you there, because speaking of seasonal, and that's a whole topic I want to talk about. Oh my gosh!
Don't you love that?
That is just incredible in symbolism and just absolutely everything.
But who knows what, right? And I don't use it seasonally. That is an estate sale find, and it was done in the 70s. When I took it apart, there was newspaper that had been padded in the back. So I found a date. It was done in the 70s, I think.
It almost looks as if it's, excuse me for interrupting, as if it's material, but it's paint.
No, it's paint. And I'm assuming that it's a young person's artwork. I don't know. And the funny part is, I found it at this estate sale, and I really liked it. And it was very badly framed, of course. And it was $10, and I thought, no, I'm going to pass it. Well, then later that day, I kept thinking about what a great piece of art that was. So, of course, I was the first person in line at the half price on the next day to get my $5 piece of art. So this is definitely low, right? But it is really a cool piece. And I really, I don't know, I see it for Thanksgiving, Pilgrim.
Oh, yeah. It's one of the most memorable things in your house.
Thank you. I think it's pretty cool. And then I love the contrast with this Asian-inspired chest.
I do too, yeah.
But Anyway, yeah, I'm glad you noticed that. That's funny.
No, that is just brilliant.
Anyway, but the really low thing in here, which I think is pretty cool, is we had some antique dining room chairs that had cane seats. And of course, those cane seats don't last forever.
Right.
And it's so expensive to replace all that now. So I was at Target one day, and on the end cap, they had clearanced their Windsor chairs. So I got, well, of course, I could only get 3 at the Target I was in, so I had to keep working on it. But I ended up with 8 of these chairs, and they're just very useful and sturdy and much more comfortable than our antique chairs.
And they have a
that we
real
used to sell.
shaker quality.
And they have a shaker quality,
to
but also
them.
a Danish quality. They have, they
Yeah.
pull the 70s back in and the 60s.
But they match brilliantly with your old primitive
Right.
cabinet. And I love the quilt on the table, so it speaks
And I'm sure you
to
know
that.
our little store, Sukasa.
Oh, yes.
So I am a
yes.
fanatic of the Conta quilts that Lynn
I
imports.
know.
So they're everywhere in our house. And occasionally I'll see one of her posts and there'll be a quilt in the background and I'm like, I have to go get that one. It's so cool. Anyway, but that's what this is. So, and they're reversible and there's always interesting things on the, well, that one's not quite so reversible, is it? But some of them are very different on the opposite side.
They are. And some of them are real vibrant in tone,
Yes.
and some of them
but I
have
love
more
how
of a
they,
historical
they
look.
pieces on it.
Well,
and
this is,
just- yeah.
it's funny
So
that
it's
you
and
mentioned.
again, they're very inexpensive. So it's a great way to do a tabletop.
And for those of us who want to really deconstruct what you just said, spell that for people so that they will know what to look for, because there are various sources of them. They're from India, are they?
They're from
not?
India.
Yeah, they're
and
from India.
And I may be wrong, so someone will catch me on this,
Yeah.
but I think it's Kantha.
Yeah.
And it's pronounced Kanta.
Yeah, I believe so too.
A lot of people will say Kantha, but
Yeah.
I think it's Kanta.
Yeah, one of my I have few regrets, but one of my regrets that I have is my son lived in India
Oh,
for years, and he.
you should have boatloads of them.
I should have boatloads of them, but I don't. I have other wonderful things,
Yes.
but I don't have some of these. But this, interestingly, this is one of the things that I want to infuse in my own decor when you come in. You
Good.
come in, because I can so see these with some of the
And
as
she's
pillows.
she's a
with
great
some of
source,
those.
right? You
Yeah.
can do pillows out of it. They're often not really large in size, so they make good tabletop things. But I found one in Dallas at a store that we all used to love, Wisteria.
Oh yeah.
That was large enough for our bed. So it really, it's
That
a king
was a
size,
find.
which was a real find because
Well,
they are hard to find.
I think that's the mark of a good decorator. First of all, you're opportunistic. You always have your eyes and ears open for something that has potential. I'm gonna give a little shout out to Lynn, because Lynn, you're probably going to be watching this.
I hope she will, yes.
Love you, girl. She has a wonderful home in the Paseo district,
Yes.
which is a historic district here within walking distance of my house. That's Spanish architecture.
Right, from the same time period
Yeah.
as this house.
As
So,
this house, just wonderful. And she's got a needlepoint shop there with fun little gift items and everything. If you're coming in from out of town, you definitely
great
want to
stop.
go to Sukasa in the Paseo district. So you and I were commenting on the fact that you do not have a rug in here, and I love that. I don't have a rug in my dining room either.
yeah. Well, for practical reasons, it makes a lot of sense not to have one. In my house, it also works because there's so much around us that, again, having a simple, quiet floor is appropriate. And I think it helps show off the other things in the room.
Right. Yeah, in gardening terms, I call that negative space.
Yes.
I need to have some negative space,
Absolutely.
and I have way too little of it right now. I need to go home and
I don't
work
have a
on
lot
that.
of it, but
Yes. Yeah.
I have some.
So what are these interesting?
So those are called magic sticks, and an artist friend of mine made those many years ago. But she works with found objects. That's kind of how she does her sculpture. And these are vertebra bones, and then she carved these sticks out of, I think they're redwood or something, and she used a bandsaw. And then it's all covered in rice paper. And then she embellished some of them with little things. So
Talk about texture, and my
Anyway,
husband
yeah.
would just go crazy over, because he's a huge
oh,
anthropologist.
is it? Well, and it's just, again, in this house, it's like, what are those? Because there's nothing like that. It's just interesting, I think,
they
and different
don't
and
look
contrast.
out
But
of
they don't
place.
stand out, right? But
No.
they, and I
Not at
I
all.
think I probably liked them when I was really in my Santa Fe mode, and I thought they had that vibe, but that's kind of past, and so they still work as an art piece, though.
Yeah. There's something everywhere you look. Now this kind of crosses over from your sweet thing, so this must be a
is
love.
sweet. That's my great-grandmother.
I was going to say, I bet it had.
It is.
I bet it had a
Yeah,
story.
and it always sat up on something like a cat will do, surveying the room. So
And I bet it just again jettisons you back
Oh,
to
it
your
does.
childhood
Absolutely.
to see
Right.
it.
Yeah, I would not buy it. I mean,
So,
today.
so this is both, we're going to come into the kitchen, and this both feels very much like it speaks the same language, but it's in a completely different, refreshing, liberating way. So
Okay.
come in here because it's got a different spatial awareness.
Well, the scale changes in here.
The scale changes.
So this is the transition point between the old and what we call the old and the new house. And the first part of this room really was the original kitchen. The back door was a window. The kitchen sink was kind of right in here where this countertop is. There was a window here. So it was a very narrow galley kitchen. Had some interesting architecture features. I mean, the ceiling is sloped, kind of a shed roof on the outside. So then when we decided to make the addition, this became our china room /
Yes.
breakfast room, and then a new kitchen, which we needed and wanted. So
It's got a sensation of dining in a butler's pantry.
it does have that feel. It absolutely does.
So, and this is where you've got all of your fiesta wear, more of your blue and white. I'm gonna take a leap here and say you've got kind of an obsession with china,
Absolutely.
dishware. Look at the color on that.
Yeah, that's Russell Wright American Modern from the 40s, I believe, maybe late 30s. I love that chartreuse
Do you
color.
and your husband entertain a lot?
We would like to say we do, but
I know.
We don't. So part of the reason for doing this room was we had amassed all these dishes, and we wanted to be able to see them. And so we can at least do that and enjoy them. And then we really do, just for the two of us, we use this
Yeah.
all the time. I mean, I realize it's just 2 plates or something, but we are enjoying it.
And using
then,
special things. And
yeah.
the other thing is if you need some kind of rationalization for having a kind of acquisitive personality, that's not just functional. It is also artistic.
Absolutely.
So it is every bit as beautiful as things you've got hanging on your wall.
No, I agree, and I love it. And they started the shelves were neatly put together and kind of arranged, and then as we got more and more and more, it just has become. It is storage, but it's still really beautiful, I think, to
Yeah.
see it. And those shelves and the cabinets contain it.
Yes.
So again, you're not seeing total chaos when you just look at the room.
Well, it's got very much of an organic vibe to it, and it also is indicative of the fact that you actually are using your pieces.
Yeah, we really do.
And you've got silver that I bet also gets used. And we're getting, and I would probably also guess that it's going to be used more because we're getting ready into, one of the nice things about Oklahoma is if the wind isn't blowing and it's not very, very hot, we do have a pretty long season of outdoor dining when we can live outdoors. And so you've got so many great outdoor spaces.
And we use all these things outdoors too. We don't just use them in the dining
Yeah.
room. So
Yeah.
we try not to be too precious with all that stuff.
Yeah. So is this pink spode?
That is actually
What is this?
Johnson Brothers British
Yep.
Castles, which is a really popular pattern that comes in the pink and it also comes in blue that a lot of people collect.
I've
And
got
then
some
and
Johnson
then there are some
Brothers.
in the stacks. There are some spode pieces and things that I've collected. At one time, I had a really dark red bedroom, and a lot of this china was on the walls, which was a really pretty and attractive thing.
Yeah.
So,
That would be more probably how my dining room looks now. So this goes out into your secondary kind of a courtyard, back door, back entrance,
Into the
maybe where you
garage,
bring in
right.
your groceries, that kind of thing. Thank you for having some beautiful flowers.
well, we did entertain this weekend, and that was
just
my
for us.
centerpiece for the dining room.
Okay,
so.
that's wonderful.
And you always like tips, so this is one of mine. When I designed the kitchen, I'd always wanted a place to have flowers in the house that that I would enjoy every day. And the dining room table is really not the place. I mean,
Right, yeah.
you pass by there, but you really don't. And the entry hall doesn't work so much. So when I intentionally did this and said I'm going to always have something on the counter, whether it's a flower arrangement, from the weekend, or something I just got out of the yard, or when pumpkins are going to be out here soon, there'll be a big pumpkin up here.
Yeah.
Just something to enjoy. And this is the one place we are a million times a day is
Well,
standing right here, so we get to enjoy it.
And I think it takes a tip kind of from restaurants and bars and things that they always have a place, one central place
Yes.
where they always have fresh, and usually it's kind of extravagant.
Yes, it is.
Done, and this is just beautiful. And so the other thing is I notice on a practical level that even though you like layering in things, that you have lots of functioning, workable space. So you like to cook, don't you?
Oh, we do, absolutely.
Yeah, you cook a lot.
We do
So this is just a brilliant kitchen, and
so another high-low thing. These 2 pieces of granite were in our old kitchen, and when we did the new kitchen, I was like, I hate to throw that away. So we created this storage rack out of Metro shelving, restaurant shelving. Great place to put the nice cast iron so you can see it.
Yeah.
And of course that's so heavy it's hard to get in and out of the cabinet anyway. So it's out. But anyway, these tops became very useful for the kitchen too, and provides a little contrast to the black. So
well, and is just a nice take on an island, on a kitchen island, with it being looking a little bit more old and
right. It fits in the house.
A little less, a little less maybe suburbia, and you've got the beautiful windows and the shades, and everything just works together beautifully. So it is just so gorgeously curated, and again, intimate. It feels very cozy. Now, one of my favorite things that I'm anxious to show you about my house that I'm gonna guess you're gonna really be jealous of.
Okay.
I have a wood burning fireplace in my kitchen.
In your kitchen?
In my
how wonderful. See, and that's such a useful place to have it.
It
because
is.
you're in there.
Oh, and you know, the ridiculous thing is we've got these houses, and of course, compared to contemporary houses, my English Tudor isn't that big.
Right.
But nevertheless, where do we live? We live in this tiny little area in my tiny kitchen and breakfast area where the fireplace is.
That's the
it's where
spot.
we live our entire life there, which is a real, I think, a consideration for people if you're building a house or whatever. Where do you really live?
Right. No, I agree. It's those kind of spaces.
So again, brilliance in design for not only how it functions, but also how you age in place. The fact that your master bedroom is right near the kitchen. Let's go
and
there.
that was one of the things we wanted to do with an addition, was to try to be able to age in place. So the master bedroom, getting on the first floor, getting the laundry out of the basement, those sorts of things. Having a shower that you can walk or roll into.
Absolutely.
So very important design considerations. So.
And you've got pieces that just transition beautifully from kitchen, so you've got an assortment of both kitchen items but also pretty items with additional storage that you've got that leads you into this.
So where you're walking through Linda now was the back door.
Oh, really?
That was the back door. So this is how you pop out into what is now the master bedroom and sitting room.
So where was the kitchen?
So it was along there, where the china and all that. That was the kitchen.
Oh,
that was
okay.
the galley kitchen.
Okay, and then you expanded it out
then we came
this
out
way.
To
I
the
gotcha.
north.
Okay, very
but
good.
that hallway that you just came through was here. And where the door is now was a window, and where the door into the bedroom was the back door, so to the house.
And you've managed to make it, even though it's a passageway, you've still managed to make it functional space because there's storage.
Oh, absolutely.
And this little
But it also provides a
foyer.
transition from the kitchen to the bedroom, which is a little tricky when you're adding onto one of our old houses to get the transition right.
So that
and
it
so you
doesn't-
don't really feel like you're moving from the kitchen to the bedroom, but you are.
But you are. And it's okay. But it's also...
It's also handy at night, though, when you go to get ice cream. So
It's also handy at night when you come in and you're absolutely exhausted. You
Yes.
just come in that back door and you just fall
Right.
into bed.
So,
oh my gosh, I love one of the things that I'm passionate about. I love a British colonial look. And this room has
It does have that,
a
doesn't it?
real British colonial vibe. I like the fact that you made no apology or whatever for putting the TV here in your bookshelves. That's just,
I think it's what we do, and so you just have to do it.
yeah.
I find that when I go in homes where it has been hidden, it's usually some cabinet and the doors are gaping open, and it just really draws more attention
Yes.
to the fact that you tried to do something than to let
Yes.
it just kind of disappear into this. So
Yes.
I do like that.
But this also has a modern sensibility, so it does not look necessarily out of place.
Right. No, I agree.
And it looks...
And when we designed this, I of course loved the living room ceiling, and I wanted to echo that in some way back here, but I didn't want it to be so heavy. I think sleeping under all that every night would be, not a great feeling. So we did the wood again and did the beams, but then we decided to just paint it all. And of course, the beams are not nearly as massive as the ones in the living room. But I think
very much an indoor-outdoor vibe, because they've got... You almost expect these to be French doors that would go
and we
outside.
talked about that sort of thing, but they get in the way. When you're in the house.
can.
So, and we really have enough ways to get in and out. So I felt like the windows probably.
And maybe from a security
served us well.
standpoint,
Security
too.
standpoint, we actually do open our windows when we can.
Yeah.
And so we like that aspect of it. And I don't.
Nice cross
Right.
breeze
I don't
here.
love sleeping with just a door standing open. I feel a little safer with just a window open.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Well,
you know.
and you're right near the back door, so this
Yeah.
is. But every place, what I love about all of your living areas is every place I feel like I could plop down and be very comfortable with a book and a cold drink or a cup of tea
Or a glass of wine.
or a glass of
Right.
wine or a bracing glass of whiskey on ice.
Yes.
Yeah, anywhere, and just feel so at home.
Well, thank you for saying that. That is, I think that's a goal. Is you want,
Yeah.
and even if you are a minimalist, you still want to be able to do those things.
Yes.
I mean, we're all
Yes.
drawn to that.
Yes.
And there are different aesthetics on how that works and what
Mm-hmm.
you want, but you still want a comfortable place, and you should have lots of them.
Yeah, and even if you're a minimalist, I think minimalism and warmth are not mutually exclusive.
They are not exclusive at all.
So this
And
is
as you come out here too, you will see the furnishings start getting a little more mixed. There's some 70s things, some reproduction things, from the 20s and 30s. The sofa is a copy of a famous designer from the 30s, I believe. But then mixed with, as you said, this British colonial type bed. The black chest to the right of it was a piece in my grandmother's
one of my
breakfast room.
favorite things. Oh, and when you're not looking, I'm going to snag that lamp over there.
Isn't that wonderful?
That is wonderful.
So when I was in college, I guess, and didn't have funds to buy things, there used to be this wonderful store in Oklahoma City at 50 Penn Place, and it was an Asian shop.
Oh,
And
wow,
now I'm going to not remember the last name. You might not have even lived here then.
I don't think I did.
Anyway, I always was fascinated by these lamps and her tansu chest that she had. So in the dining room, I got a tansu chest that was going to be dumped out at the retail store I worked in. I paid nothing for that. But anyway, this woman passed away, and I was at her estate sale, and this was one of the lamps. And I don't remember it specifically, but it was in her home. So it was clearly something she bought when she had this store. The name will come to me later. And it was a lovely, lovely store.
Wonderful touch points.
But again, and even though I didn't really know her, she lived near this house, and there's just a connection. She was someone in our city who had her own business, and it was just really kind of a neat thing.
Oklahoma City has a really deep and rich. We may be a young state, but it's a very deep and rich history, and we're going to show an example of that here momentarily. Yes. But speaking of connections, it's this is you may have a lot of stuff. This is an easy house to live in, and here is an example of that. Can we talk first a little bit about your floors?
Well, we decided to just do stained concrete, partly for practicality reasons in the bathroom, and you're going to see the laundry in a minute. But we kind of, we felt like wood wasn't just great for that. Mm-hmm. We also had acquired this big rug, and I didn't really want to put wood down and then cover it up with a rug.
Right.
So it just made more sense just to go ahead and stain the concrete and get the dark brown color like the wood floor.
Yeah.
But it's great. And the heat ducts run under it, and it actually stays warm in the winter. So you would think it would be really cold. That we did not know that was going to happen, but it does.
It was a happy circumstance.
It was a happy circumstance. So. And then in the summer, of course, it is cool, and we like that. So
yeah, very much. So this then comes into the master bath, where I love using these kind of rugs in.
You're standing on my very favorite rug in my whole collection. I just absolutely love that for some reason. It's simple, but the colors are wonderful,
and you've got large baskets for utilitarian purposes. I love that. But even in this area. And I'm so glad that you said we could come into your bathrooms, because here's so many good little ideas when you don't have room for a regular door. You've got one of these sliding pocket doors here, and you've got both practical and good-looking storage in here. And I like the fact that these shelves are fixed.
Yes, they are.
They're here, and they're a little bit thicker, and they're fixed. And you've got more pottery in here, and it's a walk-in. Or roll in eventually.
Probably not, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, we're at that transition point in time, so it's really lovely. Let me get out of the way so Stuart can kind of show that. These are deer.
That's great. She's a Seattle or not Seattle, but
Are they
Washington.
Clay? Are they clay?
I think they're clay, and I have a flower pot outside sitting on that table in the sitting area that she did, but I love those. But I don't think she's working anymore.
Better show these, Stuart, or people are going to ask what we're talking about. These little clay flowers and things here. I have some of these baskets too.
Aren't those great?
They are great. They're very fun. They're made like this was, I don't know if these are made out of gum wrappers or I don't know, something like that, but they're woven.
That or comic books or I don't know, but something like that.
Yeah,
right?
something colorful.
Right.
Something colorful. And then this is just incredible. I love the the brilliance and ease of living. So all your bedding and everything, storage is right near your bedroom, and then come back around here, Stuart, and so smart. You have no excuse for being caught up in your laundry, John. Ever. Because this is where your laundry room is.
It is. And it really is convenient. So
this is where the closet is.
Yeah. Yeah, Stuart, you MC this one. Talk about the closet.
You go. I got no mic.
Well, you have artwork even.
I have artwork. I have some family things that I didn't quite know what to do with. So that model was something my dad had made, and we couldn't let go of it. So, but I also didn't want it out in the living room. So it was a great thing for the closet. And then the artwork to the left of that is a friend who does some things that I kind of like. And
now this might be a strange question. Is this tornado?
It is not.
It is not.
No, we have a basement in the house, so we didn't really need to do any other
because
tornado stuff. But
in Oklahoma and actually all parts of the country
really,
now, really need to think about a safe place where you can go for shelter from tornadoes and things. It also, I think, is just a perfect example in here of how you look at everything through an artist's eye. Mirror. Stuart is.
Did you get yourself?
Stuart is not allowed to be. If anybody sees Stuart, we have to kill them because he is very much
the mysterious Stuart.
Yeah.
About 20,000 of them.
So, but you look at everything through an artist's lens. That functional things are also a form of beauty. And I mean, when I saw this made me so happy because I'm a big hat person.
Yes, I know you are. So my retail background shows up in the closet, don't you think?
I think
things are folded and stacked.
I think your retail self is showing a little bit.
I think
I think so too. So that's just beautiful. And then I want to end on this historical note because you live in such a historical neighborhood. I live in a historical home. It's near and dear to our hearts. And man, this is the essence of the history of Oklahoma. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this very well. But describe to us what this is, John.
Well, it's the state capitol on the left where Stuart just started. And then you can see it's surrounded by oil derricks, which is what this whole area was built on. And then as he keeps going to the right, you'll see into the neighborhood. And that's actually 21st Street right in here. And the house we're touring is right there. So we feel like this picture was taken probably in the early 30s, somewhere in there.
You can totally see it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And this so speaks now for those of you from out of state who may wonder. No, we don't have these oil derricks. I think there's one on the.
But none of the actual derricks.
None of the towers.
Right.
Yeah, there's the pumps, but not the towers anymore. Which it looks cool here, but really is kind of unsightly. It would have been horrible.
Right. And it must have smelled just
terrific.
Yeah.
And this is very much, we're thinking the vintage of like the 1930s, which is also when my house was built.
The other interesting thing that I don't know the history on, apparently there was a streetcar.
There was a streetcar,
yeah.
And I bet it connected with the streetcar that ran up and down Classen, which is very much near my house. Yeah. So it gives us a window into the past, which gives us a touch point to how we're kind of, we're a nice little reservoirs.
Yes.
Of the past in these older homes, and it's I think why we're so crazy about it.
And it's such an honor to be a caretaker of something like this and to keep it going. And our house is I guess 93 years old now, and it's amazing how much of it is still intact because it has been cared for most of the time, and of course there's always something new to take care of. But anyway, I feel very fortunate to be able to. And our financial advisor said that I'm trying to think how he said this, but anyway. owning an older home, a historic home, is truly a lifestyle choice. You pick to do that and then to invest your money in it and to take care of it.
Yes.
And if you aren't willing to do that, it's probably not for you because it's a lot of work.
It's about being a good steward.
It is, absolutely.
About being a good steward. But the other thing is all of us who have experienced real major swings in the real estate market, up and down and up and down and up and down. As someone told me, again, it was a financial person, but they're not making any more old homes.
No, they are not.
So they're not making any more 100-year-old homes. And so there will always be an appetite for those vestiges of history to really reside in history. And I always like to think, like who knocked on these doors and what news was conveyed through these doors through the world wars and all of those kind of things. So it really does make you feel a responsibility to be a good steward. And nobody's a better steward than you are. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed this real treat, and thank you to John, who gave us a good chunk of his time.
Thank you. My pleasure to show it all.
Well, we are here at one of our very, very favorite locations with one of our very, very favorite people, John Turman, and this is where I'd usually give you a big hug, but you've got a little bit of a cold. So I'm going to keep my distance. But despite being infirm, he is nevertheless going to show us around his beautiful garden, and you've made some changes.
We have.
I am so excited to see them.
Was it 3 years ago when you first were here?
I think it was 3 years ago, but we have been here.
Lots of times since.
We have been lots of times since because you definitely are a very popular rerun for us.
But my point is, it's taken us 3 years to get this front back in place from that storm.
Well, it doesn't.
So,
it doesn't happen overnight. And which storm? Which of our many storms was it?
That we had that horrible winter.
Yes,
and
it
and
was.
Then things just kept happening after that. We kept losing stuff. So. Anyway, I feel like it's pretty good right now. So I'm glad you're here today.
It looks absolutely marvelous, darling.
Good.
And so we are very, very happy to have you guys here with us today on The Garden Life. So what do you say?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, this area, to me, seems like it's gone through a huge transformation, though there are some consistent factors. You still have lots of your blue.
We still have that.
Lots of blue and lots of succulents. So did our buddy Roger and John help you with this?
Of course they did.
Okay, of course.
Do this without them, yeah.
Of course they did. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about what changed
So
here.
we lost two big trees here. There was one over here behind the wall, which I can't remember what it was. And that storm split the crotch of it, and then things started happening. It was also destroying the wall, so it was time to fix all that.
Right.
And then there was a very old American holly tree right here where the gutter is. That was probably another 15 feet above the top of the house.
Oh, wow.
Very sad to lose it. We think it was about 90 years old.
Oh, wow.
So, and John got the guy from the state to come out and look at it. We did everything we could to try to keep it. Anyway, it's gone, obviously. So now there's still a big trunk and everything's still over there. So all we can really do is pots. So the big white pot has been sort of buried, the bottom of it, and that is a Hollywood juniper, which will now grow into the ground, we hope. So hopefully that'll get to be pretty good size to replace that other holly tree. And then just lots of boxwoods and blue pots and clay pots and garden ornaments and things. So
and we would be remiss if we did not point out your bottle bouquet. Up there,
Stewart's famous bottle bouquet.
Stewart's famous bottle bouquet. And you also have a few new friends.
Well, thanks to Roger, who has, is a great estate sale guy.
Yes.
He brought some things over, and they were like 3 or 4 really good things. I was like, I want them all. So I got a couple of chimney pots, and we got Buddha, and see if there's something else on the backside.
Well, you would not be the maximalist we know and love if you did not say yes to everything.
And then these food dogs. Did you see these food dogs I got? So they were at a client's house, and they're probably pot metal or something. Who knows?
What are they called?
Food dogs.
I did not know that.
And they just didn't fit with what was going on at this house. So I was like, would you mind if those went to my house? And he was like, sure.
Well, I love the patina on them, and the color looks great with your shutters, doesn't it?
Yeah, they look much better here than they did where they were.
So you've got a great marriage of lots and lots of boxwood in pots, and you had a number of these, didn't you, or did you get some more?
Here, but there are more.
Okay.
There definitely are more.
Definitely more.
And then we've actually put some in the ground this time over in here. And one of the cool things too, it's hard to see now, but John and Roger love to work with found objects, obviously. So they created this table in front of the chimney. And that is a piece of cast stone from a house that was being built in Oklahoma City, and that one was not being used. See all this right through here?
Oh, okay.
And so,
Almost looks like a stone mantle.
right. So it created like what we call it a table, but anyway, to hold some of those pots. So,
Makes sense now.
I thought that was a great idea.
And you had some brickwork that
There
had
was,
to be
but it was
remedied.
just sitting.
Yeah.
It was not mortar or anything. So this time we did it right. We had all this put in place. The patio itself is still just dry laid and sand, but the walls are now mortared together, so they will stay up. So.
And you had to do some adobe work too, did you not?
Yeah, that tree that was there. Gosh, I wish I could remember what that was called. Anyway, it really, something happened with the root system and it came up instead of going down, and so it was pushing the wall forward. And did a lot of damage. So, I'm kind of glad that happened.
The wall was almost leaning, wasn't it? Yeah, okay.
So
well, it looks fabulous. Yeah. It looks fabulous. And this looks like some kind of hydrangea.
That is limelight.
Limelight, boy, it's big and it's happy.
Yeah, it likes it out here very much.
It is big and it's happy. And lots of succulent moments. So you have pot after pot filled with succulents, and I love using just one kind of plant in a pot. I think that's really, really effective, and you have done it so effectively. And I just,
I love
that.
Back and forth with that, and of course some of them have a couple things in them, but I do like one in a pot. I think that's good. I do that with flowers too, usually when I do annual flowers, instead of mixing a bunch of stuff up. So it's always been
a simple thing.
It's just the way I do it. So I like it both ways.
Yeah, and it's a popular way to do it right now. And like I say, you've just got sedums absolutely everywhere. And some of these will get long and you can kind of let them do their thing and cascade over the side, or you can trim them back and keep them bushy. Right. And obviously, whatever you trim off can
start again.
Can start again.
That works well, right.
In a new life, in a new iteration. Now, I love this idea. This is something to point out. This is a great tip. We don't often think of using a cascading evergreen like this juniper. This looks like it might be a blue star juniper. It might also be, I'm not sure what it is, but
I think it's blue star, but I can't
remember. Is it blue star?
I don't think it is. I think it's something else.
But I love the fact that it cascades over the side, and if you have a pot that's large enough, you can use it as an underplanting to some other kind of evergreen like this boxwood here, and it helps bring the whole thing together. You don't often see a mugo pine in a pot, but it looks great there.
So, well, funny thing about that is this is now that pot's third season, and we've had 3 different things in it which does not live, so we're going to see if this one works.
Well, you know,
it gets really, really hot right here, so we're hoping the mugo pine will work. But
well, and hopefully it will.
See.
And some of our cherished Oklahoma rose rocks, which typically Roger has in abundance.
He does, but those are not from him. I actually collected those myself.
Did you really?
From estate sales and things like that too.
Yeah.
So you can find them. But
well, you need to go on one of our rose rock adventures.
I would love to go.
Yes,
that would be great.
That would be very, very fun. Well, the entire tableau looks wonderful. I love the layered look that you get with the different heights and different dimensions and different profiles, and not only that, the different textural surfaces. You know how some reflect light and some absorb it, and it just looks really, really spectacular. And the entire composition, it's just the holistic vibe of it is spectacular.
Well, thank you.
We would expect no less. We would expect no less.
Sometimes I look at it and I was like, is this too much? But I always can keep adding. So.
Well, the other thing is, as stuff begins to grow and
I move it around all the time.
Yeah.
So things change and.
Because the garden is never finished.
And one of the things I love about collecting rocks and things is in the winter, when some of these things are not out here, I can put the rocks in the pots. So then there's still something in the winter, so I don't feel like I have empty pots. And then I started just leaving, like I left that rose rock in for now until the plumbago gets big enough to fill that pot. So at least there's some interest in it, I think. So.
Well, because it's constantly growing, it's constantly changing, and because of that, the gardener is constantly redoing their vignettes.
Yes, they are.
And so I think it's absolutely wonderful. So this is a fabulous tableau in and of itself. And before we go to the backyard and your living spaces, I want to point out just a couple of just really unusual things. Like, is this a live oak down here?
That is a live oak.
Yes, and I love the way the 2 branches grow together, and when I got out of the car, I noticed there was a little circle there.
That's great.
Stuart, we need to get a still of that a little bit later.
Those are native to Oklahoma, And that one grows downward, which is really weird. So it has this totally different shape. The other two are growing upwards like they should, but they're all the same tree. So
Well, and it's
Can't
amazing
figure
you
that
didn't lose those in the intense cold.
well, that one was severely damaged, and that's also contributing to its weird shape.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
Well,
so,
things can be heartbreaking.
so, and another thing I'll point out here, since we lost the big holly tree, we've started adding trees to the median. So this is an cedar elm. Does that sound right? Yes, which we just
Oh,
got.
Roger has
And
never
I
met a
love
cedar elm he did not
I
like.
know, and I love it. I'm really excited about it. So
Yeah, it's
hopefully
fun.
that'll create a canopy in here, which we're missing from the old tree that's gone. And then the Privets have started. They've been there 20-something years now, and I've cut them back a couple times, and they'll come back up. But these two in the middle just weren't doing well, so we're
Had to sacrifice
changing this
them.
to a little different thing. So we also added the Nellie Stevens holly. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, that's all one can do.
So,
It's in Oklahoma, it's all one can do.
It's all one.
Okay, let's take a break here, and then we'll take a look at this fabulous border that you got along the driveway, and then we'll go peek in the back. Well, this is one of the most perfect examples of a concept I called romancing the ordinary of anything you can ever see, because nothing is really more ordinary than privet, whether it's variegated like this or just common privet. Now, this is very, very old, and as John alluded to, he lost some of it. But what he has done is limbed it up over time, one of my favorite things to do. And over a period of time, then all the scarring where you've pruned things off, all the scarring goes away, and all that you have remaining is this beautiful architecture and the maturity of the trunks themselves. So he's limbed it up. He probably periodically comes through here and takes off any of the little buds that might be coming out of the trunk itself to remain, the beautiful integrity of it. And then at the top, he's just got this kind of blousiness. So if you have privet in your own yards and you don't know what to do with it and you're constantly cussing at it or wondering why it's there, but it's the only thing wonderful in your landscape or growing in your landscape, then romance the ordinary and do something with it to transform something that's kind of meh into something that's pretty spectacular. Now, that's an absolutely gorgeous peony, but it's growing at your neighbor's house.
It is, but it started in my yard.
It started in your yard.
And at one point, when we did some work on the house, we had to move some stuff, so that's where that one got moved to. So we still get to enjoy it.
Well, it's very, very happy there. And the thing about peonies is for them to really bloom well, they need a couple of things. One, in Oklahoma, they need for it to get cold enough, and sometimes in Oklahoma that's been a problem. But the other thing that they need is lots of sun. And I used to have some at my old house, and they never really bloomed that great, and it's because every year it got progressively shadier. Yeah, so you need to give them lots of sun, a cold period. The bad thing about peonies in Oklahoma, though, you probably know this, is then they fry during the summer.
Of course they do. And then they get what's the disease they get?
Boteris blight.
Yes,
and they don't look very presentable in the summer, which is one of the reasons I don't grow them. It's because they just don't give you four-season interest.
They don't, and I eventually cut mine back and let other things kind of fill in. So.
Right. So it's one of those things where if your soul has to have them for the glory that they are at that moment in time, you gotta have them.
Right.
And if you have the space, you go for it. Okay, so what I love is that you have this jolt of pink, now a borrowed landscape, that used to be yours, but it kind of still serves as a continuum as you come back down and you begin to look at your own border here of pinks and your favored blue and chartreuse. So talk to me about the evolution of this driveway border.
Well, it's just stuff that I've collected and popped in and moved things from the back, and as things happen, you just move stuff around, and this is one of the places to move stuff to. Originally the back didn't really get much sun, so this was really the only sunny spot, and it's taken a long time to get this to really be a interesting border because it's such a narrow space, and it's weird. The part where we're standing right now does get shade in the afternoon, but then the end of it down there is in full sun all day. So getting things consistent with it is hard. So down here, there are little shadier things growing. I can still do hostas and ferns. And down there, it's daylilies and iris and salvia and daisies and things like that come out.
But,
so-
and you even have hostas tucked in here.
yeah, it's very shady right here.
It's very
So-
shady, and because you've got protection from
Right.
the west sun.
So, and you
So,
just missed the wisteria. It was gorgeous this year. And there were two different types here. So they both bloomed at the same time, which was the first in a while, which was nice. And it was just, so this has been a lavender pink thing going on for quite some time now.
you took lots of pictures of the
I did take
wisteria,
some
I
pictures.
hope.
I did.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. And you have what is kind of hard to grow in Oklahoma. You actually have epimedium
I
here.
do.
And it's doing well.
yeah, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And it has a little tiny yellow bloom. I don't know if you remember that, which is so sweet, but doesn't last very long. It doesn't stay on there very long. So it's really for the leaf, but it's
Well-
a nice ground cover.
Sometimes we cherish those ephemerals even more than other things. So what will this do in the summertime? Is there a progression of bloom? Is there more blue
Well-
and pink that will come out?
The next thing that will really happen probably are the daylilies that are in there, and they are in dark reds and yellows, and then there's quite a bit of. I'm so bad with words these days. What's this? Salvia,
Oh, Salvia ferencia.
which will come out.
Yeah.
Oh, and then those
Yeah.
larkspur mixed into here.
There's larkspur.
Which will start coming out.
Yes.
So there's just lots of things, and
And
really a lot of the stuff in the summer. Just,
Transconcha, spiderwort.
yeah, and the spiderwort doesn't like it when it gets real hot either. So
And I love the way you've tucked some iris, which are also pretty ephemeral.
Yes.
But I love the contrast, and the foliage looks great
I like the
even
foliage,
after
too.
the flowers
It
die
does.
back.
absolutely.
Yeah, they're
So
really,
this is not
really
a pretty place in
beautiful.
the hot summer right here. This is really now the time to
Well,
see it.
we
so.
we all have them, don't
Yes,
we?
we do.
And what are these vertical columnar?
Those are Will Ferrell. Is it Will Ferrell? That doesn't sound right.
Will
That's a person.
Ferrell's
It's
an
a person.
actor.
I know.
Yeah,
So what is
yeah,
it?
as an actor. Yeah.
They're
yeah.
Will something.
Well, I would fill in for you, but I'm not sure.
And if I'll cheat. I'll look.
I'll forever call him Will Ferrell. From
I know.
now
Well,
on.
see, and I have to call them.
They look like a holly.
They are a holly.
They are a
They're
holly.
a Yopon holly, and they are. I am going to tell because John just told me this recently again. So let me look.
Are these new?
No, they've been here a long time, and they are Will Fleming, not Will.
Will Fleming.
Will Fleming.
Close.
Close.
Very
I know.
close.
Close.
So they've been here about 10 years now, and so one of the things that's happened to them from all of our various stores is they've splayed
They
out.
splayed, yeah.
So I had them wired back together, and these two the wind has blown them to the north, so they're going to come and try to pull them back and anchor them to see if we can get them to straighten back
Yeah,
up. So we'll
yeah.
see what happens. This one's done pretty well as far as staying straight, but they really got wild, and
And that's the heartbreaking stuff.
it is
Because
I know.
you kind of lose the architecture. I can't believe how gorgeous your peonies are. They really, and I just can't resist. Oh my word. Is this fennel over here?
It is.
And I see daisies that are also waiting to happen, and you've got some Jackmani clematis, and you've just got a really great English border going. Stuart, let's get a view
Okay. 1 second.
going. And for orientation purposes, your house faces south.
It does.
And so this bed, this English border bed, faces east. And then let's just briefly talk about what you've got over here on the east side of the drive. And you've got, it looks more daylilies, some creeping phlox,
phlox,
some more spiderwort,
spiderwort.
and not really an espalier magnolia,
It was.
but kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It started out that way, and it's just gotten. That's been here 20 years now. So,
Wow.
And to
It's
keep
pretty
it
happy.
contained has
Oh,
been
wow,
good.
it's tall.
We just had it trimmed back, so it's not as pretty as it sometimes is. But
That's
and I
nice.
have there's plumbago ground cover in here, which I
Mm-hmm.
think is really pretty, and I never can remember what this is, but this has really pretty purpley blooms on it in the summer.
Well,
Um,
it just all looks great, and all of your hosta have remained hole free
I've
from
been pretty
from
lucky with that.
slugs.
I have
Yeah.
been, so. And this is one of those places where that holly tree provided a lot of shade. So this has now been exposed for a couple of years to you. So it seems to be doing okay. We'll
Yeah,
see.
and you know
Uh,
what? It probably is
And
filling out
I
more
think it may be
than
good for it.
that
So.
it's gotten more sun, and this, of course, is getting protection
Mm-hmm.
from the U. let's take a moment to talk about this holly, because so frequently in a lot of comments that I got when I was planting some hollies close to my house is people say, oh my gosh, that's going to get way too big. There's just no way that it can handle that mature height. And the thing is, this is Oklahoma, and we plant for our own conditions. And while you do want to always take into account the mature size of something, we also take into account the fact that this is Oklahoma. And things don't grow as fast, they don't grow as large, and let's face it, they just don't last as long.
They really don't.
And so by the time something might reach its mature height, chances are it's going to already suffer some
That was
kind
what
of
I was so sad,
setback.
is that holly really had, we think it was, this house is 96 years old now, so we think that holly was, 85 or 90 years old, and it had not cracked the foundation to the house. It did not crack the driveway or the patio. It was just amazing. It was such a perfect plant, and it was planted so close to the house. I can't imagine what somebody was thinking when they did it, but it worked.
But
and
it did
was
work.
Just gorgeous.
Yeah,
So,
and again, that's this, know thy
Yeah.
climate, know thy planting zones, know planting habits of things
But-
that you've seen
but
before.
you're absolutely right. Most things do not last that
Yeah,
long.
most things don't last. But you thanked it for its service, I
Oh my
hope.
gosh, we had a little. I almost had a ceremony
Yeah.
for it. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
it
it's,
was pretty sad.
yes, sometimes
But
you do have
yes.
to do a moment in passing. And I'm going to take just a moment, speaking of, because this is unusual for us, John. We typically don't work on April 19th, do we?
We do not.
And for just different reasons, we decided to do it today. But if you are not aware, this is the 29th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. If you hear lots of church bells and things in the background, that is one of the reasons why, because they're paying tribute to this very, very important day in our state history. And you are just right within the shadow of the state capitol
We
and the
are.
governor's mansion. So I just wanted to take a moment to reflect on that. Okay, let's go to the backyard. Now, along your back door area, a lot of you who have seen John's house before are familiar with
They
this.
will know this.
Yes, you will know this, and you will know this space. Okay, just love your blue door. They always ask what the paint color is.
And I still don't remember
And you
it.
still don't remember what it is,
can look
but
it
you
up.
can kind of, you can kind of guess. But I have to show this, because this, again, is such a perfect example of romancing something in a way that we typically don't, we just don't apply these kind of skills to it. And look at your pruning skills here, because this is a sunshine ligustrum. And they can get really tall, we can keep them short, they can mature to large specimens over time, and this just looks glorious. I just
love it.
love
It's
the
one of
way
my
you have
favorites,
have it pruned up.
I wish you had been here when the lilac was blooming, because this combination of lilac and the chartreuse was just incredible.
I can't
So,
believe that you've got a lilac this big in Oklahoma. Is it a little what is it?
It's
It's a little
It's
Kim?
little Kim, right.
Okay.
And John said, that won't grow there. And I said, oh, I don't know, let's just try. So it's been very happy.
Well, sometimes you just
yeah.
have to experiment,
I think
don't
it's
you?
really well drained here, I think, and it seems to work. So, but it was gorgeous this year.
Well, and also it probably gets reflected heat off
probably,
of
yeah.
off of the wall. And then you've got Nepeta. Is this cat's pajamas? Do you even remember
Catnip.
what it
Catnip's
is?
what I
Yeah,
call it, I don't know.
yeah. This is great, and I've just planted a bunch of
Did you
this.
say cat's pajamas?
Yeah, well, there's
I
a
love that
variety
name.
called cat's
I love that
pajamas.
name.
Yeah, and I just planted a bunch of this at the cottage. I just love the gray of it. I love the fact that you can whack it all the way back when it starts looking.
Yes, and it's, this year we've had such a long growing season. It's already time
I
to
know,
do it,
to
because I
work.
hate
I
this hole in
know.
the middle of it right here.
Yeah.
But
you
it
can
is
cut
what
it
it is.
back,
No, I
and
know.
within days
It'll
it will
start again.
start resurrecting
And it's really
and
crowded.
rebloom.
All of my dailies everywhere are just so crowded this year, because everything is just, usually the dailies do their thing, and then this other stuff kind of fills in,
Yeah,
so,
we've had a strange
it's been
confluence
really
of
weird.
bloom, things that
Yeah.
are blooming simultaneously that typically don't overlap. And then great piece of artwork to fill this position right here. And you have, is this all Salvia Ferencia that's gone
Yes.
to seed over here?
It is. And I need to thin that out.
Normally it doesn't even overwinter.
So
This is a really great variety.
in fact, it took over in the front garden last summer, so I brought some of it back here, and it's doing it again. So
I might need to
it's
come and
good-
get a few
well,
little
please
babies
do,
from
'cause it needs
little
somebody to
babies
go
from
in.
you.
Is
So-
there a Ron Farrell?
That is a Ron Farrell, yes,
Very
yes. Scott had that at his condo forever, and then I think it was designed to be outside, so
Yeah, it
I was
looks
like, it's a perfect garden thing.
yeah,
so.
it looks incredible. And Stuart, you're
I
cultural acumen.
I know Ron.
It's great. So, and then we have, I love this little deer succulent
Cute.
pot. Is that not so precious? And just more
So
succulent compositions here.
Right. And then larkspur,
Larkspur.
which started on the other side of the driveway. And this is where all the seeds blew, and that's where it grows best. So we're
But
just
you know
letting
what?
it do
And it looks great
So-
here.
I love the
It looks
combination.
great here. The blue against the
it
white,
works,
and
so.
yeah, this is
That's my
that's another.
broken china mulch. So.
Yes, we have pointed that out in the past. You've got some more over here.
Yeah, it's
It's really fun. And then you've got some kind of euphorbia or spurge
see,
here.
and that just popped up, and so it really does. That came from the front and landed there, and it looks great there. So
I'm gonna have to take some little cuttings of that from you too.
you can do that.
I'll
Yep.
share some of my stuff with you. So let's
Absolutely.
take a break here before we go into the glory that is your backyard. And if you have seen John Turman's garden before, make sure that you look back at that so you can
Has
now look
changed.
at this one and see how much change there has
Put
been.
some of the old ones at the end of this one so they can do that.
Yeah, so you
Okay.
can click on that link, then come back and watch this because there really have been some changes. And yet, the thematic overall is still
it's
the
still
same.
very similar.
It's
Well,
still-
it's always so amazing to me when you go back with your photographs. You're like, was that my garden? You know,
Yes.
it really is a shock sometimes because
Yeah.
it really, over time, and we see it every day, so you don't quite notice it so much. But when you really go back several years, in fact, before we did this edition, I had a beautiful backyard. And it's just like, was that really mine?
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
it was like, and it was. So,
And the sad thing
uh,
is, you sometimes you want to keep both.
You
but
do.
you
You really
can't.
do.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've
it's-
always said I really like living in my backyard, so I'm glad we did the edition.
Yeah,
So I like
yeah.
having the
Right,
building.
right,
so
right.
It changed it a lot.
Okay, well, let's
Yeah.
take a break and then we'll go to the back. Well, this is kind of funny, John, because Leah has not been here before. And we've been teasing her,
Oh,
holding
really?
off on bringing her into the backyard because she just was titillated and she kept wanting to come back here. But this is outdoor dining room number 1, and it hasn't changed a
It hasn't changed a
ton.
lot. No, not quite so much. But
But the other thing is are we here in a different? What season were we here before? I'm trying to remember.
Being warmer.
it was
It
definitely
was
warmer.
definitely warmer. Yeah. And this is typical classic Oklahoma, and you guys are like this too. And I guess it's just going to be another question of the day that relates to this same phenomenon. 2 days ago, it was 92.
It was. It was hot.
92. And today
It was 46
it
or
was
something
46 this morning, and it's cold.
It is.
Yeah. I'm kind of cold.
And I'm delighted that it's cold again. So this
I'm
kind of
too. This is great
Yeah,
for the garden,
It
isn't it?
It is. And for us. So,
And today there's not a ton of wind.
which
Speaking,
it's also been very windy.
yeah. And speaking of, back here, it's very protected.
But it's still windy back here. When it's windy, it's
Even back
there's
here.
lots of movement in here, which is really pretty when it's windy. But,
Right. And this is just kind of tone on tone, green on green,
The-
with some lots of color from your
and
Japanese
really,
maples.
the more that I garden, the less I do annual flowers. My
Me
color comes
too.
from furniture.
Me too.
I like all the different greens. They seem to make it through the season longer,
Yeah.
than trying to do pots of stuff.
Yeah.
So I just don't do much of that anymore.
Yeah. I have a few dedicated pots and,
And
urns.
one of the
that-
things that we just did, which is very subtle, but I want to get your opinion. See the new clay
Yes.
thing? So there's 3
Yes.
of those in there.
Yes.
Just because things aren't growing in all that shade anymore, I was like, we need to do something interesting. So these were something John had piled up, and so we added them as sculpture, I guess you would call them.
I think
Well,
I remember seeing those
and they're
in
the
place.
perfect color of the
But they
brick.
pick up other things,
They
right?
pick up all of the rust notes that you've got back here, and you never met a found object you didn't like. So
Sad to say.
sad to say. Do you ever just go over to John and Rogers and just shop and just say, "Oh,
I can't. I mean, I did when we did this. I was the
Yeah.
one who came up with this idea. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I want these, but no, it's dangerous. You
It is
can't.
dangerous.
It's
It
just
is
dangerous.
dangerous.
Uh.
And one of my biggest challenges, both internally and externally, inside my house and outside my house, is I love creating the vignettes, but sometimes you create a beautiful vignette, but the beautiful vignette kind of ruins the tranquility of the whole.
Yeah.
And so it's just, there's always that tension between
Well, what I've noticed I've been taking pictures this last week out here, and the things that are simpler, like when you look at this view, it's like, okay, that really works. When you come back and look at this view, it's like, oh, that's busy. There's a lot going on there, you know? And it's almost too much.
I think sometimes we have to
But when you're in it, it feels okay.
But when you're in it feels okay.
It
And I
really
think
does,
we kind of go back and forth, and that's the beauty of it.
But I do think taking pictures of things show you things that you don't really see, which is nice.
Very much so. Very much so.
a good thing to
Great
do.
tip.
Yeah.
We need to put a little light bulb there, Stuart.
Ding.
It's periodically go back and take pictures. The other thing I notice is sometimes when I take pictures internal, I think, oh, I really need a picture or something on that wall.
You're right.
Because when you're in the space, it looks okay, but
right, because you're seeing more when you're in the space.
Yeah,
so
you're
when
seeing
you're
more.
focusing in, it's a good thing to do.
it is. It's a good reference point. Well, lots of fun things. So, in terms of when you use this space seasonally, is there a season you use this area more than the other?
You know, I hate to say, we really use the other patio
More
the
often.
most because there are usually just two of us, and so there's a smaller table and other more comfortable places to sit.
Right.
So this is really has just become a view.
Well, the other thing is that's right off your living
it
area.
is. It's
inside,
closer to the
and
right.
there's a door there. This you have to
It's a
kind
long
of
way to get back
navigate
here
your way.
with food and all that. So
Well,
we
it
have
looks
used
great.
it, but it's just not something we do a lot. So
Well, the other thing is it's great for entertaining on those occasions.
It
You do
is.
entertain,
It
then
is.
you've got different rooms.
and I love looking at it. I just think it's really pretty. So
yeah,
think
it
it
looks
works
great.
well.
Are these?
Those are the Home Depot ones that I bought years ago. They came in you could get a 30-inch table and 2 chairs for $100, and so I bought 5 sets or something like that to get the chairs because I wanted all the chairs.
Because you wanted the chairs. Well, the chairs are great.
And then I gave some of the tables away. So,
and this is very similar to a brand called Crossley, I think.
it
that
is
you
very
and I talked
similar.
about
And then there's some
before.
Crossley furniture up in the other garden. But it all matched really well too, which was nice
Yeah.
color-wise. So
Well, the other thing people can do is if you go thrifting and you just find a bunch of mismatched chairs that are kind of the same scale, then just get out
Just
your
do
spray
that,
paint
right.
can, paint them all
Or
the
not,
same
just
color,
use them.
or not, and just
Yeah.
use them that way. So, okay, well, garden room number 3,
I
number
have no
4,
idea what this would be.
we don't know, but we're getting ready to go into the hallway that leads to another area.
Yes.
And let's just take a moment, and in fact, we won't even talk too much about the hallway because it's just beautiful. Let's just take a quiet moment. We'll kind of stroll through there until we get to the back patio.
all right. Found some more at Bob Scott Nursery. Do you go out there at all?
I have not been out there in years, and
they
I
had grown
need
some.
to make it. Here we were going to be quiet, and now we can't
And now we're
because
walking
there's just
on
so
it,
many things to see. You've got some columbine, more hosta.
And then there's the dreaded
Dinka
Petunia.
minor.
Did you see that?
Oh
Which-
yes,
Which is pretty at the moment, but boy, I've already dug up bushels of it.
it is
And
just
thrown it away,
Yeah,
so,
it is.
yeah.
I've never had a home that had it because I never.
We don't. It was here.
I know
You can't get rid of it.
You can't get rid of it. Yeah.
Cannot get rid of it.
Yeah. Oh, look, you've got a sweet little Eugenia topiary. And I love when this goes to seed. Here's my third thing I want to collect from you is some of the seed.
Of course. So I have a question for you because I'm curious. You know, I've always said there's some yellow over there, which is the traditional, which sort of did okay. These purple varieties have just taken off here.
They do great.
Is there something different?
They
you
do
think?
great.
Or-
Oh, I'm sure their genetics
okay,
are
but
just
they've
different.
They've just been gorgeous.
And I had lots of some seed that I got from a Munich beer garden years ago, and I took some from the other house where it was doing beautifully, and I sprinkled some seed out, and for some reason it hasn't taken hold. So I may.
Well, this has really done well. So yes, you may certainly have seed
Okay,
from there,
I
yes.
will trade.
And of course, I love the yellow, but it's just not done as well, and there's just a little bit of it left.
Well, I had quite a bit of that in my other house too. You know what would be great back here? Some of that golden feverfew I have. So I'll trade you some golden feverfew seeds for some of this.
Okay.
And you've got oak leaf hydrangeas.
And there's another limelight over there.
Yeah. Got your basil. Got some spirea.
That's something kind of
and-
new to me is to do the spirea.
Spireas,
And
yeah,
I've done
they're
those in pots,
fun.
and I love
Yes,
that. Again,
yes.
that chartreuse color is like just magical.
It is.
And that one's not chartreuse, but the ones on the other side were in the front. So
And look
Yeah.
at this gorgeous. Is this a Francis Williams? Or
I think
it looks
so.
it looks
I think
like
that's
it.
right.
It's look at those leaves.
and aren't they great?
Okay, so there is.
Show me the leaves you were talking about. Here,
Look at
the
these
hosta.
leaves.
Now, huh?
Okay, these are incredible.
Obvious once I
And
looked.
when we were I can't remember, on one of our travels. Look at how the water does. Don't you just love that? It's like a natural little fountain. But there's something that grows in the jungles. I think it was I can't remember where I was, but it's called skunk cabbage. And they used these as diapers.
Oh, wow.
Okay, really?
Yeah, for a long time ago, that's what they used as diapers. Okay, and here we are in this kind of wonderful passage, and then coming over into the living room.
The living
I
room,
guess.
and we have
the living
new
room.
cushions in the living room. So that's really the only change I think since
Did
you've been here.
So, are these custom made, or did you?
They are custom made, yes.
Yeah, I was going to
This
say.
time they are. No more Pier 1 cushions for my Pier 1 furniture. So
Yeah, right.
'cause you can't buy them anymore.
And you can't even buy the Pier 1 furniture anymore.
No,
you can't find this stuff.
Right,
You
I
can't
just-
even find the old Smith and Hawken wood furniture. It's very difficult to
And it
find.
really is. I don't know what's happened about that. So it's hard to find outdoor furniture that's affordable. So
Well, that's affordable, but
And
that
good.
also has this old traditional kind of English look that we like. Everything now is very contemporary,
It is.
and it's just very, very linear. And then here would be your found objects, more found objects.
more and more and more of them.
Just cool to have the outside wall. It's kind of neat.
Well, this really is a room, I think, which is great
Oh yeah.
because of that wall.
Now I'm looking for, because last year, oh there it is. That lived at my house for a little while.
That fern, yes,
Yeah,
it did.
yes,
it did.
last year, because they just brought over
It
everything
did.
that we had in the greenhouse. We sometimes share a greenhouse.
Yes, we do.
And it came over, and it just appeared, and then finally you said, "Do you by any chance?"
Well,
have
we
that?"
started
And I
looking
said,
for it,
Yeah, we
right.
started looking for it, and I said, "Yes," and I've been
Always out
meaning to
here,
call
I
John.
apologize.
And I wasn't-
Yeah, it's just a
I
fun.
wasn't as worried about the fern. I wanted my pot back because I love this pot.
And the
so-
pot?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking it was in a plat. I can't even
No, it was in
remember
that,
now.
that-
Was it in?
That, those, I don't know, those white clay pots, which you can't really buy anymore.
Right.
And so I get those at estate sales in various places, and I love them. So
Yeah.
they go with this house so well.
Yeah.
So you could have had the fern, but I wanted my pot.
But you wanted your pot. Well, I didn't want any of it. I just didn't know
Right,
where it went. I didn't know who it
belonged
belonged to.
Well, this last year I actually made stakes with my name on it. So
Oh, did you? Good move.
So when
Good
John let me
move.
bring my things over, the foxtail did so well over in his greenhouse this year too. So it was nice to have
that's
a big one to come home.
Yes, I need to get some foxtail fern.
I've really seen why they call it a foxtail more in this one than I do other ones. Just looks like a foxtail.
Now, did your Muhlenbeckia in things? Did it
That
overwintered?
I
It-
was shocked, totally shocked.
Which one now?
this wire vine,
Wire vine.
or Muhlenbeckia.
And
Which-
that's the smaller leafed one, and I had always heard that it was not as hardy as the other one, but it made it, so
Again, I think it has so much to do with just
it
microclimates
probably does. So
of what works and
Um,
and what doesn't work. And then speaking of, we talked about this before, but for all of our new followers, this bamboo, I can't believe you you have managed to maintain it here.
it's
Contain,
tough one.
maintain.
Right, and it doesn't look great yet, but it will in a month or so. I need to get in there and cut some of the dead stuff out. But
And
'Cause
this was the crossley
yeah, those are the
furniture that
crossley
you were
chairs, which
talking
are
about.
really comfortable.
Yeah.
I really like those.
Yes. They've got that 1950s
do.
motel look, don't they?
They do.
They do.
Which I think, even though our house is from 1928, I feel like this garden area was done in the 40s or the 50s, just the way this wall
So it-
looks.
yeah.
Because that, wasn't originally part of the house. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so I think it fits.
Well, it's absolutely fabulous. And then you had some holly.
There were
With-
photinias
Petunias,
here,
that's right.
which went away in that storm those years ago. And
And
then
you-
we replaced them with Nellie Stevens
with
hollies,
these.
which they're getting better, but I want them to not be conical. I want them to grow together.
To grow
And
together.
I want it to be a big
I'm
mass.
trying to do
So-
that
I
too.
know.
And you've got a little owie here.
Yes, isn't that sad? And so one thought is we're going to see what that sucker does. I think I might want it to grow.
Oh,
to kind
really?
of cover the alley.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's
we're
a
going
good
to see
idea.
what it does. It may
Yes.
go away, but it may stay.
Oh, this one guy coming up?
Yeah, just because that's so bad the way that. And there's something, and I don't know if it's a real thing or not, but something about the South
side
Yes.
of trunks sometimes
Sunscald.
get damaged in
Yeah.
in freezing
In
weather,
winter.
and that's what happened
yeah.
here.
And then the
So,
searing sun
yeah.
comes through.
and this gets hot sun in the winter too. So
So if you're a new gardener, here is something that I should probably point out. So often you see this same kind of problem in trees that are growing, let's say, in the middle of your lawn. And quite often that's a result of a weed eater coming too close and abrading the base of the trunk, and then that causes a blemish that then moves up. So whenever, and that's so often why we see tree wells around trees, is there's this gap then. So when you weed eat, it's along that tree well, and you don't run the risk of damaging the trunk itself. And my son in Denver, they just bought a house, and he was asking me, what's this from? And I said, well, that's from an errant weed eater. And he said, I plead guilty. And I said, I probably did that. And I said, well, first thing we're going to do when I get up there is we're going to dig some tree wells around your tree so that doesn't happen again. But it's a common mistake for...
it is, and I don't think that's what happened here because we don't weed eat back here.
Right.
But that may have gotten damaged when it was installed because
Yeah.
it had to be lifted over the wall, and
Right.
there was a piece of machinery
Well,
here.
and then you face south, and
then
so
it does
then...
face south. I really think it's more the winter, that whatever you just call that.
Yeah,
right?
Sunscald on the...
Sunscald, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
sunburn.
And then Linda, someday you have to teach me how to really make my boxwoods look right. I am so timid when I start cutting on them, and that one's just dying to be.
Oh,
To
be
get the
a
shears
okay,
out.
Well,
Right, we just have to do that,
Well, I'll
so.
come over and we'll just do it. We'll just do it.
That was where was that? I just moved that and repotted it. But anyway, when I got it out here, I was like, this is just
Ready for
it needs to be a
haircut.
ball.
Yep.
Okay,
really is.
so lots of my followers are going to say, how do you water all of this?
All the pots are by hand for the most part. Some of them do have some irrigation in them, but I don't trust all that usually. So
I know, yeah, me too.
I'm not a huge fan of it. But there's irrigation in the ground, which gets most of the ground beds, and it gets a little bit of the pots. But no, it's a combination, of
Well-
just checking and looking and watering, and it's a every other day thing.
Well, but the other thing is so many of your pots, number one, they're fairly large in scale, so you don't have to water them as frequently. And number two, you largely have evergreens in your pots. You don't have lots of annual
No, I
color
really
that's
don't.
going to that's going to wilt in the heat. And do you keep your pots out here in the winter for the most part?
For the most part.
Even your glazed pots.
The glazed ones do really well. It's the clay ones that I've had some trouble with. But most of them stay out here.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the risks. And
Yeah. It's
I get to buy a new pot when one breaks.
well,
so.
it-
And we always need clay to go the inside of our pots when we're planting things. So broken clay is a good thing,
Right. Yes. But it is a tragedy when
It
you
is.
break an old one that has that great patina
yeah,
on
it
it
is.
that
I
we
really hate
worked
that.
so hard to get. Well, this is just fabulous. Oh, look, this is a Rose of Sharon,
It is.
and it gets enough. Yeah, it probably
think
does
it
get
does. It
enough
gets-
sun
yeah.
back here.
It does.
What color blooms does it put
It
out?
is a pink color.
A pink. You have a fondness for topiary as well. Well, this has just been absolutely wonderful.
Well, I'm glad you came again
We're
today.
going to do this in the reverse. We're going to just briefly look at the front of your house, and then we're going to say our adieus and thank
Okay.
you. And thank you so much for having us
You're
here.
welcome.
So let's go quickly to the front, see what there is to capture. And again, please go back and look at the ones that we have done here before. And I'm trying to remember, did we go inside your house because so many people said, oh, I love the outside of his house. Now we want to see the inside?
I think so. The first time you were here, it was a really beautiful day and all the doors were open and you started peeking in.
Oh, okay.
And then I was like,
Okay.
you want to go in, Linda? And of course you did.
That's when we were just got to be friends.
Right. So,
yeah.
and then people just started talking about it from the video.
Yeah.
But
And then we've been back
we've been
multiple
back on-
times.
But initially we started on the other side of the wall out here. That was one of our first.
Yes,
little
I
projects
remember
we did,
that.
so-
Yes, I remember that. So this time we kind of did it in the reverse. So let's go to the front now.
Do that again.
Okay, this is glorious. This, first of all, it's so fragrant here. And I'm not sure, I'm probably
Wonder what we're
smelling
getting.
the peonies maybe wafting over.
Maybe.
I don't know what it is, but this purple moment is spectacular. And love the salvia. Now this looks like it might be May night.
I think it is.
Mine is East Friesland, and this looks like it's May night.
I think it is.
How can you tell the difference?
The size of the leaf and kind of the growing habit, and the flowers aren't quite as large and quite as prominent. But boy, they look beautiful with these these bearded iris, which won't last long, but boy, in this
Yeah.
moment in time,
Yeah,
it's
they're very pretty.
spectacular, isn't it?
And they're one of the things that was here when I moved here. Not in this spot, but they were in the garden. So
And then look at the little color echo with the salvia.
from the salvia.
I love the way that looks against. That's a very Santa Fe kind of thing.
It is,
Of
kind of
how it
looks
looks
like that.
against the W wall,
Right.
and then the blue of your address. And this is a way, like you said, to bring in a little color even
It
in
really
the
is.
wintertime.
It is.
Just those little color appointments from hardscaping or from garden jewelry. And this euphorbia is just incredible. I mean, we saw a little bit of it back there.
Which came
but
from out here. So
this
just blew
is
around
just
there.
wonderful. Now, would you describe your soil as clay?
It is clay, although, you know, this bed has had so much done to it over
So
the years
much,
that
yeah.
it's not. But if you dig down very far, you get to the clay.
And you know, I
so-
bet that must
And I'm sure that's happy.
do fairly well in clay. I
Seems
don't
so.
know. Yeah.
Um,
And then over here, you've got other things that are getting ready to come into bloom.
And I wish I could tell you what some of them are, but I don't know what some of this stuff
This is a stachys, I believe, here, and I'm not sure what this is.
is. This has a really cool
That's a
purple bloom
stachys.
eventually, and I can't remember what that one does.
Yeah, this has a pinkish purple bloom, if I recall. And then this is a rudbeckia.
It is
right
one of those
here.
giant ones.
Yeah, one of the giant rudbeckias, maxima, rudbeckia
Yes.
maxima. And then look at all of these. Just, you know, you've got, I can tell, some black-eyed Susans in here, coneflower, wonderful, more of the spurge, more of this salvia gregii, more succulents, and it's just wonderful. And you've got some goat's beard over here, some penstemon, punctuated with another bottle bouquet.
And that was the original one right there.
The original one. And then, boy, this is brilliant. You know, so often that is not in the
Oh,
right
yeah.
place.
But it's been very happy, and it's a great color right now. So
Amazing color.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it has a great form.
it had. Oh,
and
yes.
I don't do anything to that. I really have not. Done
That's
much at all. In
spectacular.
fact, I was over on the other side of it the other day. It's really grown over in the neighbor's yard, and I'm like, I hope they don't mind this because they do not want to cut on it.
Well, they probably like it
I think
because
they do,
it's filling a
but you
void
never
that
know
they have.
what somebody's
Yes.
gonna think.
Yes. Well, it's wonderful.
But it softens the edges of our yards when
Yeah.
they come together. So
Well, it's wonderful. You're wonderful. We love you.
Thank
The
you.
followers love you. And I can't thank you enough, dear.
well, thank you very much for coming over today. It's great to see
Yeah,
you.
and I hope your allergies and
Big air hugs.
Thank
stuff
you.
get better.
They will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Until we meet again. Until we meet again. Okay, we will see you guys. I hope you enjoyed this special Garden Life segment with our buddy John Turman. Once again, remember to go back and look at the videos that we have shot with him in the past. It's a real kick, and I promise you, you will get all sorts of ideas and inspiration. Okay, do I have a thrifting surprise for you? Number one, we haven't done a thrifting video in a while. We're going to be talking a little more quietly than we normally are because we want to be respectful of other shoppers. But I have thrifter repurposing extraordinaire here, John Turman, who is going to, what are you going to do?
Well, first I'm going to learn from you because you are really the thrifter extraordinaire.
Okay,
But,
well, we have nothing. Do you have anything in
I
mind
don't
that you're
really.
looking
I mean,
for?
you know, it's seasonal stuff's coming out again. Thanksgiving's coming up.
Okay.
Obviously Christmas. So I'm already seeing a little bit of Christmas in here.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to see what that is. And then
Yeah.
I just want to see what's here. I mean, you never know.
So here are some things I'm going to be open to. And by the way, I have one large category that I call "we need this" like a hole in the head, but we still put it in
But we
our
still need
cart.
it, right.
But we put it
Yeah,
in our cart.
I get that.
Okay, some of the things that I'm going to be open to are I'm getting ready to go to kind of a fitness spa in Utah next week, so I'm going to be looking for maybe some items of clothing
Okay.
that I wouldn't normally have that I
Yep.
might get a deal on while I'm here. I'm also going to be just looking for things of inspiration that I see and I think, wow, this has potential, and I know you will probably also see that it has potential, and what would you do with it and what would I do with it?
Okay, sounds like fun.
So that, in other words, we don't really have a plan.
We don't.
We don't really have a plan, but it should be fun. So what do you say, guys?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, you've already spotted something, John.
I have spotted something. I just walked in the door. There are Fitz and Floyd boxes down here. This is so collectible. This cool Santa Claus. Not sure what I would do with it, but
It's neat.
I might make something and put on it and give it to somebody.
Well, and the thing is,
But
it may not be your thing, but we want to point out things that might be somebody
Right.
else's thing. And as you and I have said, both having worked in retail in the past, and I don't know what this is, and I don't know that I want to open
I don't
it.
either, but look at that cute little spoon.
But look at that cute little spoon, so maybe I should
Or is
open it.
there-
Or let's see if it's on the
Let's just
box.
a picture on the box or something.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see here.
Yeah,
A
Sugar
sugar
and
and
creamer.
creamer. Okay,
Okay,
sugar
yeah.
and creamer. So if you know someone that collects this, first of all, this would be a great gifting opportunity to gift them more of it. If you wanted to start collecting it, it's got kind of that 50s kitsch.
It does. No, it's
50s
kind of
kitsch
fun.
vibe.
Right.
The other thing that I had asked you earlier, if this is something you do, and sometimes I will buy something here at a thrift store, and it just may be a one-off. I use it one time,
And then-
I'll either give it to someone else or I'll just bring it back, because you couldn't rent this stuff for
No, you
this
couldn't.
price.
You really couldn't.
Okay, so what was the price
Well,
point
the Santa
on
Claus
that?
is $8, so that's a great price for that.
Yeah.
And obviously this stuff almost looks like it's never been used because it's still in the boxes. I know some people do put things back in boxes, but it's certainly well taken care of.
Yeah.
So it's not chipped and all that kind
Right.
of stuff. So
And we should point out that we are at the Goodwill on 39th and Penn.
Yes.
And so if you're somebody who wants this stuff, that's often happened to me before.
Then they
People
come
immediately
running.
come and get it. If you guys are something that wants this stuff, it's at the very front of the store.
yes, it is. They've done a little Christmas section. Which is
Yeah,
kind
they've
of
got, yeah.
interesting.
This is really good.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Obviously, if you needed just a faux wreath, then this is, this would be an option, and it needs lots of
Well,
puffing.
and what I do with these a lot of times is take another, just a garland, and work back through it to make it thicker.
But a lot of times it just needs puffery
fluffed up, yep.
to be fluffed up. And then, of course, you could add your own embellishments of
course.
pine cones, of great big ribbons, of whatever. But,
It's a good base to start a new wreath.
It's a good base. So if you had, like, I can already see this hanging on the exterior of a chimney, on
well-
somebody's chimney outside.
And I have one just like that. And I really have over the years just added more stuff to it as far as garland to really make it really hefty looking.
Yeah.
That is a little
Oh, and this
little
is,
skimpy.
look,
But
and
it's got
this,
lights, but
it
they
has-
probably don't work.
But they probably don't work.
But they come off pretty easily.
Okay,
How much is that?
Okay, $7.99.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
Yeah, this is a good deal, people. So before you go and buy this brand new, I suggest you come to your thrift store. I'm almost even looking at this saying, oh, do I need this someplace? But no, I don't. But if
Because
you do,
have some beautiful wreaths at home.
I
as
do have some
recall.
beautiful wreaths, and I need to excavate them from the basement. I
Yes,
need
you
to
do.
excavate them. Okay, but this I think
But anyway,
is
that's a good one.
It's a great deal.
A good deal.
Okay, your turn to spy something now. Okay, what do you spy?
All right, well, I see something down the aisle already.
Okay.
I love this color green. It's just a little brighter.
Oh, yes.
And it's not quite chartreuse, but it's still brighter and it just adds a nice sparkle to a tree. And you often think green ornaments don't look great on green trees, but this kind of color does.
Yeah, yeah.
And these are like $4 for a box of how many? 8?
Okay, yeah,
that's not bad
okay.
either. And there are
No.
2 boxes of them. So.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And if you're somebody like me that goes just more kind of atypical traditional, but I've got lots of silver on my tree, and look, they've just got silver ones here, purple ones. I mean, this is no-brainer stuff,
Right.
John, but I think the point is to come and check maybe at your thrift store first before you go out and buy
Absolutely.
it.
And then
buy
these are
it
kind of
brand
pretty
new.
too. Look at these matte colored ones.
Oh yeah, these are, ooh, and look at that one.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Okay, these are very retro.
Yeah.
This one is pretty.
The
Oh, wow.
beaded one.
Yeah.
But they're great.
And if you're on a budget and just starting out,
Absolutely. And when you're doing a Christmas tree too, I always like to use solid color things kind of in it so that your other more decorative ornaments stand out a little more. This
Yeah.
gives depth to the tree. And,
Yeah,
and
I
that's
agree.
a really good, inexpensive way to do
I agree.
that. So.
And especially if you kind of ground it with lots of ornaments all in the same color palette.
Uh-huh.
So if you were doing, kind of a girly thing, kind of a, what was her name? Laura Ashwell or something kind
Laura
of,
Ashley?
Laura Ashley kind of thing. Yeah, Ashwell, Ashley.
Okay.
Then this would be kind of fun. But now I see potential in these.
I like all that crystal looking stuff, right?
Yeah,
Frosted.
I definitely see potential in these.
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah, these are fun, and these are just $3.99. Okay, now John, if you don't mind, go down there and pull those things we saw earlier
that's silver.
that we thought, okay, this could be something fun.
Yeah, and there are 2 of these. So, and I think since there are just 2 of them, this would be fun to use at the top of the tree. You know, splay it all out and
Yeah.
stick it up in the top.
Yeah,
And then maybe you have an angel or a star or something.
right,
in
with
the
a
center of it.
huge ribbon. You know what
Or a
else?
big ribbon, right?
You know what else these would be great for? I can see is New Year's Day.
Right.
New Year's Day, where you have these, you know, maybe one per guest or something,
That could be
and
fun.
I just think these are really fun. I can see these used in a myriad ways. So fun, fun, fun. Okay, but are they going in the cart or are they not going in the cart?
don't know.
I don't know. You guys are just going to have to wait and find out.
I don't know, we may have to make a trip back through after we've
Yes,
scoured
I think
here.
that's a good idea.
What are these? Are these little Christmas trees? They're tiny.
Are they tiny? Are they foil?
They're not, well, it's all taped up. But it looks like a little tree.
And you know
cute.
what? Okay, so and the profile on these look like they might be,
Very Charlie Brown.
yeah, very Charlie Brown,
That would be
but they
great.
almost might have that feather tree profile.
Oh, right.
You know? Okay, but now here sometimes you want to look inside.
It doesn't sound like a tree in there.
Because this box is empty except for the stand part. This box is empty. So you want to do your due diligence.
Yes, you do. Don't just buy a box.
Unless you like the box.
But you see what I mean about
But
how
here's
it,
one.
Hey, oh wow.
okay, now
See, that actually would be cute.
no, that would
Yeah.
be cute. Look, it does have that kind of feather tree.
And you know the small matte colored balls would be cute on that we saw over there.
Okay, now
you're
this is a look.
That's very cute.
This is a look.
Okay, and it's $1.79.
And it's
so-
$1.79. Okay, so John, decorate this tree for us. Go over there and see which balls
Wow.
you were saying. Okay, now you guys see, this is cute. This is
See, these
cute.
are great size for this, and the colors are so good.
Okay.
And they look really pretty on that white tree. Probably have to shorten the hangers a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think it'd be cute.
No,
Yeah.
this is cute. This is really cute. So if you're somebody that likes to decorate your bathroom,
Uh-huh.
or if you're somebody who likes all
that's fine.
white,
Or, well, this would be one of those things that would be cute. Like if you have a friend who's ill or something, just needs to
Yes.
pick me up. Just fix
yes,
this, spend $5, go sit on their front porch.
right, or
Um,
somebody who's in assisted
Yeah,
living,
or assisted living.
or
hospital.
assisted living.
Yeah.
Okay, that is
It's pretty
really
cute.
No, that is
So-
really cute. Those, and if you could find some matte balls that are the tiny versions of
Right,
this.
that'd be cute. Mix
Okay,
in with it.
that would really, and you know, you could get some of those little fairy lights and put on
Oh,
that.
right, yeah, with the little battery.
Yeah. Okay. This is cute. This is our really very cute thing.
So look at this
number
wreath.
one. Let's take a break here.
It even comes in its own carrying case.
Your
Look
turn.
at this wreath. Yeah, that's a good one. That's even,
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
That's
look,
pretty
it's nice
good.
and thick. Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And it's
and look, it's nice
wow.
and thick.
It's
Where's the-
full.
No, I think it's just. Oh,
It's really full.
yeah. There's a little.
Oh, is it two?
Gift with purchase in there. Oh. Yeah, there's a little.
There's a little baby
gift
one.
with purchase
Okay,
in
so
there.
if you took this one
know,
by
isn't that great?
itself, it's got and two small wreaths for $9.99, and it's got a carrier.
That's very nice.
Okay, you guys,
So there's-
that
Sell there too.
that is a deal.
Very nice.
That is a deal.
So they're- oh, I sell there too, though.
Yeah, there are two of these. So if you did, you know, you did this
I think we're showing
thing.
through at the back of this. Let's see what they call it.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
okay, what a deal. Yeah.
Oh, okay. See now, yeah.
I know the carrier's worth
Okay.
that.
Wow. Okay,
Anyway,
this
okay,
is
what a
a
deal.
good deal, and with the carrier.
I know the carrier's worth that.
$9.99.
Yes,
Okay,
true.
I'm surprised they have this good of holiday stuff this close to Christmas.
You know, people are already decorating.
Maybe people are going through their Christmas things
so.
and
'Cause,
deciding
you know,
what they
people
want to
are
get rid
already good
of.
for New Year's too.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll also be good on as part of
These
your
would be good for New Year's too.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
These would be
yes.
good for New Year's, and these would be also be good on
And I'm
as
surprised
part of
there
your
actually
gift
is
wrapping.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so you could do like
And I'm surprised there actually is gift wrap stuff. There's boxes.
yeah.
just starting.
The other thing that would be fun, if you happen to know that somebody is just starting to decorate for Christmas or apartment, as a designer, it would be fun to give
Like put
someone
together
like a
a
whole
kit. Yeah.
silver-themed Christmas
Those and these like put together a
assemblage.
kit.
Yeah, you could do those things. You could stick those in the
these
tree.
little balls.
That could be a really fun thing. But these or hanging on
Those
your
are very cute.
stockings.
I like them.
You know, around your stockings as they're hanging.
Yeah,
I think
those
those
are
are
very
really
cute. I like
cute.
them. Decide if I
Those
need
are really
these or not.
cute.
I think those
Decide
would
if I
be
need
great
these or not.
just in a bowl.
I think you do. Because I think those would be great just in a bowl by themselves. Okay. Okay, we may not make it out of the holiday
I know,
section
it's taking
because
too long.
there's really good stuff here today. Okay, so show me what you found.
Well, look up here behind this. There are these 4 baskets that I think are just really cute.
So do you bake at Christmas time?
Oh, that's the plan, but do I do it?
Have,
Not
have
always, right?
have I ever gifted you some of my
You
famous toffee
have.
cakes?
You have given me stuff, and it's just fabulous.
So you better
So,
be
Linda,
good
you need
this
to buy
year.
these so you can bring me one.
Yes.
But look how cute these are. I love all these
No.
colors, and they're not too big either to
Okay.
fill things with. So
Teachers' gifts.
Yeah.
Teachers' gifts filled with
Very
things.
cute.
Very, very, very cute. Okay, those are pretty
go.
good. And same thing if you baked and
I know, look,
you,
there's a whole
yeah,
pile of
there's a
those.
whole pile of these.
So-
Yeah. Oh, and look at these. These are kind of elegant chic.
right.
Those are pretty good.
They are.
$3.99. Okay, and I also,
Put it in the house?
if they were really wood, yeah, to make a little house. I think it says plastic, but I don't know. I think that's just kind of
It is cute. That doesn't look like plastic. It looks like that.
I know. Yeah, it does. It kind of does. Okay,
Yeah.
now, John, I found something to coordinate with your green balls.
Okay, no, I can already see this from the back.
It's you.
That's a no for me.
It's so you.
That's really a no.
No,
That's
no,
really a no.
no. Okay, but somebody out there who maybe has I can
Okay.
I can kind of sort of see it if you squint. I can kind of sort of see it. Okay.
We'll hang that on your front door. I bet that would fit in your round window.
It probably would fit in my round window, but I already have something
Yes.
there made out of hydrangeas. Okay, so are we ready to move on
I
from the
think we
Christmas
could have
aisle?
done the holiday.
Okay, we're ready to move
We've
on.
already
from-
got the stuff in the basket. So.
I know, we've already got some things. Okay, we're moving on. Okay, now, things like this pop out to me for one reason or another. And I like this combination of navy and pink
I do
and
too.
orange.
A little bit of navy's
It's
great.
kind of Tory Burchish, but look,
Oh, there's the label.
what is it?
Well,
We don't know. It's
it
an
just has a
off-brand.
size on it, yeah.
Okay, but this is stained. So see,
Yeah, unfortunately. But that would have made a great table runner.
it would have.
It
I
really
can, I
would.
can definitely
Yeah.
see Mexican, fiesta kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So that's
Yeah, unfortunately, not going to work. Though.
an option. It's not going to work. But I do typically stop at the scarves.
There's a Christmas handbag with a bow on it.
Yes, doesn't
Haven't seen that before.
doesn't this look like your Aunt Edna? Your
Maybe.
Aunt Edna would
Yeah.
have carried this.
It's quite a bag.
It is. Okay, now you saw this.
I did. Look at that great yellow color.
And you said it looks very Bottega Veneta.
Uh-huh.
It
That
does.
woven leather.
It does feel like it's woven
a good
leather. It's an off-brand. Look at the cute. Okay.
Yeah, that's a great fabric.
Yeah, and then the only
It's got a
really
little dog chew on the end of it.
it's got a dog chew on the end, but you know what? You could take
You can
this
take
off
that
and
off,
you
right.
could use this as a clutch.
Oh, isn't that cute?
So, but no, that's really fun. That is really fun. And you could always take this off, and a lot of us have our own handles and
Of
things
course,
that we
right.
could put on. So this, that's kind of fun.
It is.
Yeah,
I like it.
It really is kind
Very
of
fun
fun.
color.
Okay, what's the price point on this? The price point is $5.99. Would you or wouldn't you? Okay, if you are somebody who is really into the cowboy chic thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is so popular right now, and I have to say I've kind of always been into it.
Well, in our part of the world.
In our part, well, that's true where we live. But if this is very Ralph
Mm-hmm.
Lauren. It is 100% leather. It's tooled.
I love that design.
Yes, it's tooled. It was made in Paraguay. And I think, now this is one case where wear and tear wouldn't bother me because it looks, I think, that much better because of that.
Yeah, no, that's
And
really a good one.
this, I mean, look at that. Okay, that's pretty good. What do you think?
I think that's a go in the basket one.
Yeah, okay, and let's look at the price point on it. $9.99 for a full leather bag. Okay, would you or wouldn't you? Okay, if you are looking for good gardening clothes, this is a great place to look.
is.
And you know what? I'm loving that they have kind of curated these kinds of shirts all in one place. And most of these are like men's smalls, it looks like. But I mean, you guys, these are great. Look at that.
That would be great for a fall work shirt.
This would be great for a fall work shirt. Okay, $6. That's great. Now, why does it not
I like how they've
surprise?
even mixed in the Henleys with this. So
Yes.
Your outfit's already together.
Yeah.
It's great. Look.
Yeah.
Look at that.
No.
That's perfect.
Okay,
under.
that is perfect under that. And look.
See, that would be a great combination.
Okay, I love the way you think. I love the way you think. I love
Well, I
that
like how they
t-shirt.
think. Somebody thought this
Somebody
through.
thought this through, and you immediately came to this shirt. This is a great shirt. Okay. I love this shirt. What do you think?
I think it's really cute.
It's flannel. I think that's really
Yeah,
cute.
and it's also got that cowboy chic.
It does have the
stuff
cowboy
going on
chic
the
thing
top of
going
it.
on.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we're getting a theme. We're getting a theme going.
That would go with your handbag.
It would go with my handbag. Okay, I think this is going. I think
that
this
going in
is
the
going
basket?
in my basket. Yeah, I think that's going in my basket.
That is a cute t-shirt. I don't,
Okay, Edwin and Percy, Warner Parks, Nashville's Nature
Oh,
Pleasure.
I've been to that park.
Have you?
I have.
Okay, well, this is too small for you.
It is.
isn't?
Yeah, we're in the wrong size for John.
Yeah.
Most definitely. But I
Okay.
have actually been to that park. How fun. And our new cat's name's Percy.
You're kidding.
Yeah, that's what we named her.
Maybe you need to.
Well, I wish that was big.
I know. Yeah, or you could make a pillow. You could make a pillow out of it. Okay, that's fun.
Yeah. Actually, we're going to do it.
You find anything?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are pretty
Those are very
cute. Those are cute. I like those.
They are priceless.
Are they free?
What happens when they don't have a price on it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. I like those.
You know, one thing, John, I always look for, I don't know if you do, and that's glass stuff. Okay.
What is that?
I don't know. I don't know that I want to know what that is,
decor is
but
what
it would have been great for Halloween.
It might have been. Oh my gosh.
Like a
yeah.
makeup test? Like
I don't know
test
because
putting makeup on something? I don't know.
What does it feel like? And you're brave, and you're brave to even be touching it.
I
You're
won't wash my
brave
hands
to
when I get
even
done
be
cleaning.
touching it.
No.
No, you can't go
No.
there.
No.
You can't go there. Okay, this could be a cute little terrarium.
It could.
You know?
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, cute.
I guess
little-
it's a globe from a candle thing, right?
probably or
Yeah.
something, but
Okay.
it doesn't have a bottom. But you know what? Even as
But no,
a
that'd be
glove
cute on
thing,
the-
that's a pretty
yeah,
good. That's a pretty
it
good
would.
thing. That is a pretty good thing, as Martha would say. Now these aren't me, but you know what? These would be a teenage girl
They're cute.
for sure. Those could be a teenage girl thing.
It's kind of a cool fabric on those cushions right there. You like that?
Oh
The
yeah,
red and
actually I
turquoise?
do. I
like that
I
combo.
could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that in your space, actually.
Not turquoise.
Not turquoise. Well, kind of I
Not
can. Okay,
Is that
now
just fabric?
that is just fabric, but it's, you know what?
It's Christmassy fabric.
It's Christmassy fabric. Christmas tree skirt
Absolutely.
or Christmas wrap. If you knew how to do origami kind of wrap.
That would be fun.
Okay, all of this for $6.99. You know what else? This would make a great tablecloth, I bet. A great
Absolutely.
tablecloth.
And you know, for a Christmas tree skirt, you just have to kind of
Oh,
bunch
I
it up
know.
around.
You
don't
don't
have to do any sewing at all.
anything to it. No.
Tablecloth, you'd have to get your sewing machine out. But
Yeah. Stuart, let's do a close-up on this so people
It's an
can
intricate
kinda
pattern
see.
of the.
Yes. It could look very, very elegant.
Uh-huh.
Very elegant. Okay, that's pretty good.
was a
That's
good one.
pretty good. And there's a lot of it because it's heavy.
I don't know about you, but I just love baskets. I always stop and look.
We will break here. Oh, that's cute. That's cute. This is kind of anthropology
It is very
vibe
much so. Right.
for $7.69. Oh, and you know what? People are bringing their plants in from outside
right.
and bringing them inside.
That'd be a great
This-
sleeve for your pot.
A great sleeve. There you go. You just flip. Yeah, just
Pot sleeve.
yes. Okay, that's pretty cute.
And I like how it's scrunchy.
Yeah,
it's not all perfect.
Yeah, it's not all
Very
perfect.
casual, yeah.
And also, I can see this cute dorm room laundry
Of course,
basket. Yeah, these little pom-pom things are fun. Okay, that's pretty cute. Do we or don't we, you guys?
There's
What else
another
do you see
interesting
here?
basket right down there that
Oh, yeah.
I always
And
like
I've
those.
got plenty of those.
kind of, I guess it's a little market basket. But,
Yeah.
But they're cool because they fold up.
Yeah.
And,
There's a special name for those. I can't remember what it
but
is.
You can use that different ways.
Yeah, you use it flat.
This one's got a little dent in it. But
These, by the way, make great needlework baskets.
oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if you're carrying
Yeah.
your needlework, because they can flatten up and kind of squish and store. So if you are a needle pointer or a knitter,
$4.
$4. Okay,
Yeah, that's cute.
pretty good deal. Okay, it's kind of
It's a good color.
This would be your Kermit the Frog Christmas, Kermit the Frog Christmas, or Easter, or Easter. Now this would be a cute Easter
those are
basket.
cute.
Yeah. I don't know.
Alright.
I don't know.
Good color green,
But
that's all I
yeah,
can say.
but I'm a girl who likes a good color echo.
Look at these. You know, owls are kind of a motif that people like. And at first I thought that was, but that's a squirrel.
It's a squirrel, but
Which
you
is
know,
cute. But what a great pair.
those two are
Yeah.
cute, and you could gift those in
Absolutely.
a pretty box. What would you put in them?
Oh, hot chocolate or
Yeah.
something like that. I don't know.
No, hot chocolate.
Of course, I would rather have one filled with cookies, but.
Well, you could do that too. You
But,
could do that too.
You know all those work gifts you have to get that,
Yes.
know, less than $5?
Yeah.
This is a good one.
No, that is cute.
And I like that they're two.
And I think for a teenager, this would
Oh,
be
yeah,
a
very
great
cute.
idea. With hot. Oh, you know what else? What a great idea. This, and then you know how all the kids now like to go to Starbucks. That's their new.
Oh,
that's
goodness.
their new target market for Starbucks.
Okay.
Is all the kids. Give them one of this with a
a gift
Starbucks
card.
gift card.
I like that.
That would be adorable. Okay, that's
Those
pretty.
are really cute.
Those are very cute.
$3.
$3. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good.
Those are good.
You know, even if you want it like with this, you could do something like with Chex Mix in it or something. Yeah, and that would be, yeah, you're just walking and eating your Chex Mix, you know.
Look at those cute little ears on that.
No, no, that is cute. I think you want this, John. I think you want
I don't know
that.
if I need it, but they're cute.
I think you want
like
that.
it.
Okay, that falls in the.
It would make me smile if somebody gave me that. I would say that.
Yes, I agree.
I might be gifted
Especially
after
with
that, but-
especially with a clever note. Especially now, you and I both saw this.
I know the lines on that are so pretty.
Yeah, we both saw this. We loved this, but mostly it was the interior
interior's
that I
pretty.
loved. And if it just didn't have that, we both would look at that
We
as
would put
a
a
little.
succulent in it.
We would
so-
put a succulent in it. It screams, "I want a succulent." If we were having to style something right now for a magazine shoot, first, of course, we would wash these, and we'd find 3 of them. And then we would put something, okay, here's what I would do with these.
What?
I would have a mimosa bar,
Oh, yes.
and I would get these all cleaned up, and I would put like pomegranate juice in one, orange juice in the other, and then I would top this with a real pomegranate.
Oh, that'd be cute.
And then I would top this maybe, I don't know, with,
With one of those little oranges.
yes,
You know,
a little oranges, a little
what are those called?
kumquat, a little,
cuties.
yeah, cutie or a
cuties,
little,
right.
yes. But just like, Martha did when she would use those
That'd be very
as
cute.
corks, and I think
Well, and
that
it's also describing what's in it.
what's in it.
yeah.
I think this would be a great gift. If you wanted to put together a mimosa package, you could give these, you could give the juices
And a bottle of champagne.
and a bottle of champagne. I think that would
I
be
like
a great New Year's gift too. A great New Year's gift. Okay, look at these. Now this would be a really good thing if you were entertaining. You get a bunch of these and then you return them afterwards. And you could put, well, seriously.
And when you
know.
say return, you mean donate again.
Yeah, I
right?
mean donate
Yeah.
again. Yeah, no, I mean donate again. But if you had a crowd, you could.
No, that'd be great for that.
Yeah, like little tiny lava cakes in there, or something that you had on a big platter. Everybody could take one.
Or some kind of little soup or something. That
Yeah.
you serve.
Oh, that would
that
be
be pretty?
great if
Yeah.
you had a crowd. That would be great.
Tomato bisque. Or something.
Lobster bisque.
Lobster bisque. I like that
Yes,
too.
and there's enough of them. No, that's
These are
a
cool,
great
too.
idea.
See those?
Okay, these are great. Okay, these are great for votives.
I was going to say that's what I would want to use it for.
Yeah,
as a votive, but
yeah. Okay, for
I know
$1.09.
those are really nice.
Okay, I see these strategically placed outdoors in your back patio.
I can see
I
that too.
really can see that.
And I think those are big enough the wind wouldn't blow them out.
No, and you know what I'm into are those solar votives.
Yes. Yes.
So you could put those in there. Okay, are those yours or not?
And that's a maybe.
That's a maybe. Okay,
You know how much stuff I have.
I know you
So
do.
that's a maybe.
I know you do. That's the other thing about thrifting. At a certain point, you do need to be more discriminating.
Yes, you do.
And you know what I do sometimes is I will find something and I'll think, I have something similar to this, but I have not a clue
Right,
where it
it-
is,
it-
so I'm going to go ahead and buy this now.
Right.
And-
Or it just reminds you to go look for what you own.
Oh
so,
yeah, or look for,
uh,
that's true.
yeah,
Just
it
look for
really
what
does.
you own.
That's pretty, isn't it?
Well, for a minute I thought those were bones,
No, they're
but they're
Bamboo.
bamboo.
It's
They're
bamboo.
bamboo. Okay, now this is another broad category of things that I think is a good thing. Okay, look, right here. These are expensive
Yes,
when you
they
buy
are.
them. I have one identical to
Really?
this. All you have to do is buy the filter, and this one is $4.99. So there you go. Anything in plastic, especially if it's kind of useful, why buy new and put that much more
Absolutely.
stuff into the environment if
I
you can
agree.
buy something? Okay, this is a designer tip, I think, from
think
you
so,
that
yeah.
you noticed. So describe to me
So-
what was going on here and what
well,
you.
we came around the corner and we saw some green and red stuff, but what I was seeing was green to go with the other greens that we had just looked at. And one of the things I like to do on a table is just kind of randomly place stuff like that and do votives or flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a kind of a little eclectic
Yeah.
group of vases, you know.
Right.
But the fact the theme is that they're all green.
Yeah.
And this would work great for Thanksgiving mixed in with white
Ooh,
pumpkins.
yeah, and you could fill, or you could
stuff
fill
like
it up
that.
with different nuts and
And right.
things, and
Anyway, it's just a little collection of green things, and I don't know what these are, but there's a whole bunch of these.
there are, and these are, yeah, these
is
are,
interesting,
yeah,
yeah.
these could be really, really cool.
And this is a green that I think you could use a lot of times. It's not
It's that
Christmas
good
green. It's a, you know, it's a little more subtle. It's got some blue in it. So
Kind of that sage green.
Yeah, yeah.
Even something very, very minimalist, lining all of these up on a mantle with one
3 of those would be
centerpiece.
cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
candles in them, I think would be really great. And there, like I say, there's a bunch of them.
I know. I guess those are florist vases. I don't know. But anyway,
No,
That's kinda
yeah,
fun.
or even just, you know, one single like camellia in each one, white
Yes.
camellia or something. That's really, really classy. You know, the other thing, for people like me who give like candy or nuts or something like that, okay, this would be a good
that's a
idea.
good size for nuts.
You know, it is a good size, and you could go on Amazon or something and you can get custom cork sizes. And you could get a bunch of these and make your Chex Mix, your whatever, your spicy pecans, get some of those corks, put those on there,
They're
and
really
you
cute.
have them all lined up for people to take. That would be a great
Do that for
idea.
dinner party favors.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
No, you absolutely
Another way to
could.
cover that would be to cut circles of something and just tie it
Yeah,
on, you know, with a cool ribbon or
Right.
string or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, you definitely could do something themed like that. Or bath salts.
Yes.
Yeah, it goes on and
These
on,
go a
doesn't
lot,
it?
right? And there are 1, 2, 3. There's like 7 of those.
I know,
so
there's
that's a
7
great
of these.
Multiple gift.
Yeah,
I love
it
that.
is. And I love that in my book, actually, you guys, this is one of the things. You find something that you like and you give the same thing to all of your friends. And this would be, I was just saying that in my book, one of the things I say is make Christmas easier for you.
Mm-hmm.
Buy one thing that you really like, and then you give all of your friends the
love that.
same thing in repetition, whether it's homemade
Mm-hmm.
or you could buy some You
Well, I
know, you
think
could
you
buy
often
some
find gifts, right,
basalts.
that you can do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, but I think it's just, and the other thing I like about stuff like this, it's multi-purpose. You could use it for a vase, you could use it for a candle, you could use it for spoons, you could use it for bar accessories, you could use it for almost anything.
It's a great little piece.
Okay, now John, this is something I just put up on Instagram and my Instagram stories, and this is what so many people do. It's certainly not a thought that's original to me, and that is when you get china saucers to use to put underneath all of your houseplants or topiaries.
I do that all the time.
Yeah, yeah. So again, it's not an original thought, but it is something that I have to remind myself of before I come. That. And the other thing is you might want to get different colors for different rooms.
Absolutely.
Or for different themes.
That's a
Like-
great idea. And
like-
I've actually done that from the dollar store too. Gone and gotten.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Like
plates for that
these
sort of
clear
thing.
glass ones would be great. And if they had a whole bunch of them in more than just 3, I would probably get a big stack of them.
Well, that's a nice size.
Yeah, this is a good size.
Oh, Linda, do you remember these? My grandmother had
I-
stacks of these lotus bowls. We did not have the saucers, but we ate everything out of these. I mean, desserts.
But the
and-
fact that
I
this
know, isn't it
fluted
great?
edge,
Right. Very gardeny, don't you think?
very gardening.
And they came in different sizes, but this was the most popular size. I
Okay,
think.
for a garden party, you could
That would be
serve
great,
sorbet in
and there's
that.
6 of those.
Okay, here's another question for you guys. So many of the ideas we have relate to entertaining because you and I entertain fairly frequently. And if you are not someone who entertains, please give us your ideas of what you would do with some of these things
Right.
short of entertaining. But I think these are sweet.
pretty cute.
And they're very seasonal for gardening season. Really, really cute. A shower, a wedding shower,
Yes.
anything like that.
Very cute. And they look like they're in good condition.
Yes, none of them look to be chipped.
No, they don't. Okay, another one of those trips down nostalgic lane.
Oh, I know. And maybe I need them like a hole in the head, but I want someone to love on them.
I do too.
Okay, so John, some of us are starting to get arthritis in our hands. And in fact, we just interviewed my friend Patty, the hand therapist. Okay, this, unless it's some kind of medical device
I don't think it
that I don't recognize it,
No.
I think this is a wine bottle opener because look, the foil cutter is here. And I think you just put the neck of the bottle in there, you secure it with this, and then you just press down.
I think so.
And it pulls it up.
And
all done.
and
Yeah.
then it's all done. And this is heavy, and it feels like it, and it's got this ratcheting mechanism. I think this is going in my basket.
Okay.
Going in my basket
To
for
keep or to
sure.
give as a gift.
Okay, John, I've got a question for you. Are you a Christmas music purist? Do you listen to Christmas music before Thanksgiving, or do you wait till after Thanksgiving?
Honestly, after.
I do
worked
too.
too many years in retail and started listening to it in
That would do
August.
it.
Yeah,
So,
no, I agree.
yeah.
However, I kind of like it when I'm shopping.
No, it's great in here
when
today.
when
It's
I'm
kinda
shopping,
fun.
I kind of like it. But at home, I really liked a division,
I do too.
division of my.
And I do like to listen to Christmas music, but
Yeah.
it has to be in that.
I agree.
time period
I
too.
agree. But I think,
Yeah.
tell us what you think. There's no right or wrong
There's not.
answer. It's just your personal preference. Okay, that's a good basket.
Uh-huh. And it's already lined for a plant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Keep going.
Okay, this is a good basket, especially if you're going to be gifting an amaryllis or something
Oh,
like that
absolutely.
for Christmas. This is just $2.99. So I'm thinking this basket is going to go in my basket.
Okay. Look at this girl.
Okay, John, you get the badge for finding the scariest,
I know, getting the weird stuff
creepiest
today.
stuff.
I love her.
Okay, is she speaking to you?
She kind of is.
Well,
I'm not sure what her purpose in life is. But
she could be a Christmas decoration.
I mean, she kind of has that
ki-
going on.
No, she could
But,
be.
So
She could be.
I think she's going in the basket.
Okay. Okay, John has found something,
I think this is a child's bowl, isn't it?
and it looks old.
It's very heavy.
Where's the child's bowl?
There were breakfast sets
Yeah,
for kids. Like, and they're collectible down. I can't remember who made them, but different pottery companies did them. And this one says, "Hey, diddle diddle."
The cat and the
Cat
fiddle.
and the fiddle, right?
Oh my
Jumped
goodness.
over the moon, and the cow jumped over the moon. Anyway, it's really cool, but unfortunately not in terrific shape.
And there's no markings on it, but
I could see feeding my cat in that.
well, or a baby gift where you maybe use this as a
Yeah.
saucer for a planter or something.
Anyway, it's a neat piece.
That is a neat piece. Okay, I see something that I have purchased in the past here before that I have at my house.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
These are hanging on my fence right now.
Yeah, that's
Two
a
of
good idea
these. Yeah. And then John, I bet you like me are always, okay, look, this is pretty good too. Ooh, this is heavy.
Yeah, that's a great thing for raising something up. That's
Oh, that is a great stand.
Is it like stone?
nice. No,
You know?
it's metal, but
No,
it
it's
has some weight in it.
metal. But you get one of those faux Christmas trees and set
Oh.
it on that. It almost looks like marble.
That's pretty cool.
And it's got felt on the bottom. This is a great piece. These are the kind of generic pieces that sometimes you overlook, but you can't really find them other places
Well, and when
besides
you
here.
want something like that,
Yeah,
you don't know where to
you
go
don't
to find
have
it,
it.
so-
This is a great piece. A great
I do like
piece.
that. What's that over there with the,
I know this.
is it a vase?
It is.
Huh.
Okay. Okay.
Interesting.
This is very West Elm. This
It
is a
is.
West Elm
That's a
knockoff
metal
It really is.
with some of those wooden flowers at Trader Joe's
Oh, right.
or sticks or something. This is really, really nice.
I like that.
Okay, what's that?
Blue
It's
and white.
Blue and white.
It's the box.
Just a box.
It is just in fact a box. That's cute.
Be good to gift wrap something.
would.
Here, there's a little blue bowl here. Kind of sweet. You know, sometimes don't you wish that you didn't already have the junk that you had
Uh-huh.
and you were just starting out buying new junk?
Because we all need our junk.
Because we all need our junk. Okay, now this would be cute. At St. Patrick's Day, put a little clover plant in there and gift that to
Yes, I
somebody.
would.
That's something my mom would just
Very
love. Okay, you always meet the best people in Goodwill. You guys know my friend Jen. Though normally you have your hair pulled back and you
Yes.
have pumpkins in your hand.
I just got done bringing rotten time back to bricks.
Did you really? Did you really? Well, we also ran into, some of you remember Phoebe. We ran into Phoebe's mom here.
Oh.
So yeah, it's been Old Home Week at the local
I'm here
Goodwill.
to get stuff to force paperweights.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, vases to force
Okay,
paperweights.
there's lots of good
Yeah.
stuff.
those green
I can't
ones.
wait.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
There's
yes.
7
Yes.
green vases.
We will show you.
Okay.
They're great.
No, they are great.
They really
They're
are.
great.
That's why I'm here.
Well, you need to buy these because there's 7 of them.
Okay, yeah, no, we got you covered.
Okay, great. Okay.
See you. Bye. Seriously, we'll show you.
They're-
Okay.
Okay. Do you see these kind of carousels and immediately get nostalgic?
Of course.
My favorite Mad Men episode ever was when Don Draper
Yeah.
did the advertisement for the Kodak
For
carousel. Yeah, and you have your own memories of
Oh, I
these.
do. I took all these from my grandparents and kept them for 15 years, I guess. And
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you all remember, but I let Linda look at my closet one day in the bathroom, and there's a bathtub. The bathtub was full of them. Anyway, so recently I dumped all of them out, picked out the ones with pictures of people in them, and now I have a huge bag of slides that need to go away. But are all kinds of landscape places from the West. And
I know.
I don't know. I'm getting there.
I know.
I want
It's,
them to
it's,
go away.
it's
I want
like
to keep the memory, but I want the stuff to go
it's
away.
in that
know.
category of what
What are
really
these?
what do I do? I don't know, but I just don't they look interesting. Let's find out.
Oh, there's a poster in it or something.
Garden art.
They are canvases.
Oh my gosh.
How fun.
Oh, I bet these are the cherry blossoms. Are these cherry? Well, I don't
Where
know.
does it even go?
Okay, I don't know. Does it say on the outside? It says just gardenia art, unframed new. I wonder if they're all the same. Not that we're going to open all of them to
No,
find
we're not.
out, but
This one's, This is red maples. What did that one say?
Okay, this one just says gardenia
Well, it
art.
says gardenia art too, but then it says red
Oh.
maples after that.
Yeah, and this one says
Purple flower.
purple
they're
flowers. Pooper
Flowers, yeah,
floweration.
purple flowers. Well,
Oh my gosh, this is. Okay, it's down to the wire. What are we going to take home and what are we going to leave? You go first.
well, I think she's too cute. I think she has to go with me. I
Okay.
have no idea. She'll be good on the Christmas tree.
She'll be good on the Christmas
she
tree,
will.
and it'll be a little piece of memorabilia
Yes,
from
it
our,
will.
our time thrifting together.
I do like that.
Okay, what else?
And I'm going to get the green Christmas balls. Yeah,
Okay.
they may go to a client's house, but
They'll find out.
I
But
think
they
I'll
will,
get those.
they
So
will
that's
find
my
a
pile.
home. Okay, my
And what
pile
else did you-
is, let's see, what about this little white tree? Is it staying or going?
It's pretty neat and pretty affordable.
Stuart, maybe you need to.
I mean,
Okay, this falls into the category, it needs to be loved by somebody
It
else.
does.
We will
Okay.
leave it here for somebody else to have fun with. Okay, in my basket, definitely the bottle
The wine
opener, the
opener,
wine
yeah.
bottle opener.
Yeah, I think that's a good find.
Yeah, I think this little basket, just because it's just utilitarian, I definitely think it
Yep,
is
you
going to
use
go in
that.
my basket. I love this shirt. It reminds me of Johnny, my son
I
Johnny.
like it too. I think it's
yeah,
really
I
good.
think it's really fun. And I think this might have to go with me too. I mean, it's just
It looks like you.
something that comes from Paraguay. I'm probably not going to make it to Paraguay, and I do think it kind of looks like me.
I'm probably not gonna make it.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to make it to Paraguay. What do you think?
I like it.
What do you think? Okay, Stuart, did you have anything in the basket
I
today?
don't think I did.
Now, what about this, Linda? Are you going to?
Oh, yeah, I think I'm going to.
I think
I
that's
do
pretty-
think I'm going to.
yeah.
Because as you pointed out, my furniture is white. And I could just put this on, kind of throw it over, and it's heavy, and it feels. Oh, it was a drape, or maybe that's just the category.
I don't think it is a drape. I really
Just the
don't.
category. Yeah.
I have to wonder if it's a rug. Is what it's supposed to be. It was made in India.
Yeah, I think
Even,
maybe it
like,
was a
outside
rug.
on the garden bench or
Yeah,
something.
I
It would
agree.
just give you a little.
I agree. It's very Jill.
Yeah.
It's very Jill Sharpish.
Yeah.
So okay, and then this is going to go home with me. So there
Okay.
you go. Thanks you guys for hanging out and thrifting with us today. If you have found any wonderful thrifted items on your ventures, send us a picture of them, and we might put them in our community tab.
That'd be
Thank you.
fun to see.
Thank you, darling.
Good to see you.